get with that. You can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this or you can get with that. I think you get with this because this is kind of fat.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Black Sheep Rising. Here in the studio with you, it's me, Conan Soliday.
Daryl. Rapture,
known as... Actually, Jason Repture, known as The Rapture around these parts, and sometimes known as Charlie. I don't know where that came from.
Crazy bastard. I just call him crazy bastard.
I prefer that.
He is
I like
crazy
prefer bastard.
Most definitely a crazy motherfucker. He worked with us on Shire TV. He was the
shizzle.
The shizzle. He. What was your position? Like director? As
Kind of like everything. Like as far as like I did a lot of setting up and stuff, and pretty much a little this and that cameras and.
And he set the lights up. And one time I put him in the credits as the light guy.
Yep.
And he got mad at me.
I had a conniption. I was like, fuck, I'm no light person. People don't get that
I'm
shit.
like, your name is listed more than once. Why are you getting mad that you're the light guy? It's like you're the janitor or something. There's nothing wrong with being the janitor.
What the fuck's wrong with being the janitor?
No
you
shit.
Sorry son of a bitch.
Fucking janitors at Walmart make $15 an hour, man. How do you like that?
$15 an hour?
Yeah, you're working at the wrong stop, man. You need to go to Walmart.
Yeah.
It
was just one of those scenarios.
It's a hard position to get. You're not getting it because I'm next in line.
Uh-huh.
And you only clean toilets like once a week. You do floors.
No, every damn night, homie.
Not at Walmart.
Motherfucking.
No, they split it up. They split it up. One guy does the bathrooms once a week, and then you do floors the rest of the evening, the rest of the week. And
how many people do they have working janitor?
Not a lot. Like less than 5. But
we got 2 a night.
And you got a small, and it's not a smaller building.
No.
If my Walmart was a super Walmart like it should be, it would be a bigger building, but it's about the same size. If anything, it might even be smaller.
I think Walmart might be smaller.
Yeah, you might be working. You might be working at the wrong company, bro. Look into it, man. We'll talk.
Damn.
Yeah.
So, anyways, when I put this show together, I envisioned one guest to be like my one first-time guest. So the pilot would have this guy on it, and we can work out the bugs and all. This guy, fucking Charlie.
Shazam.
And he fucking dropped off the goddamn planet. He just disappeared, and no one knew where he was at. His roommate or housemate. How does that work?
Kind of, yeah. James, he's in the same pad as me. He's kind of like up along the way in the same building.
Even he didn't even know where you were at, even though you were working for him.
I kind of hid out for a little while. Hid out for winter summer, I guess, right? Yeah.
You told me that your summers are not the best time to be around.
No.
X mentioned the same thing. He's like the summers aren't good for you guys.
Yeah, summers are not my thing, man.
Yeah.
Just sweating my nuts off.
He's a painter. I don't know why summers would be bad for him, but why would summers be bad for you?
This is the last summer I go through this, man. I can't take it, man. It's just the heat and shit. I'm running around sweating my nuts off. Everybody else is okay, and I'm like, Ugh.
We work part-time for the man. I mean, have you ever considered something like that?
Yeah, I've been borderline, and then I have some other things in the working, kind of where I'm like, eh.
And do your thing on the side.
Yeah.
Work part-time for the man, so you have a stable thing.
Yeah, I've been doing this thing where I supplied to this dude in Japan. I've been doing that for the last, I want to say, 3 years. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, I was selling to eBay, and now pretty much I just buy from wholesalers and supply to this dude in Japan. So it's kind of been keeping me afloat.
Nakamoto?
Yeah, it's
the Bitcoin creator?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, actually, I did give him information on Bitcoin. He didn't really respond favorably. He's not really into the whole nationalistic thing, but it seems like I don't know, he's kind of caught up in some of the mainstream shit, so I don't know.
Well, we finally got you on. It's fucking episode 18.
Shazam.
You're finally on.
Isn't it really the 19th episode? Because the first episode was episode 0.
Yeah, but I don't consider the pilot to be. I don't count it.
And
even though it's there. Yes, there is an episode 0.
This is the 19th episode.
Yeah.
But it's episode
We've been
18.
around for a while. And I guess pretty soon, as soon as I get around to it, I'm going to give Ian the RSS feed to the show so he can start, and a description, so he can start advertising on LRN.FM, which has a lot of good
Liberty Radio Network
podcasts and programs and radio shows. And we are also being played on LMR. Liberty
Movement
Media. I keep saying media.
Radio.
Movement Radio. And I clicked over there one time, and it seems like a pretty legit little program. Are you also being aired?
Yes. Peace, Love, Liberty Radio airs in Encore on Mondays, 2 to 3:30 p.m.
Groovy.
Oh yeah. So yeah, fucking Rupture, man. Finally got you on. You're doing good now.
Yeah, everything's going a lot better, man. Summer's always my rough time, but yeah, I'm doing good.
Fucking Rapture. How does he work?
He's a clean cut guy. So, someone confused you with a Fed one time. The first time you got here to Keene.
Yeah, when I first got here, of course, I was oblivious to it, but it's kind of like I had no idea that people are like look at people through a
You
fine.
didn't know
like,
that there were feds?
I didn't really realize that people would see me as that.
Or you didn't
like,
know
coming
that
in.
you
I
were
think
the
Rich
Fed.
Paul kind of said, kind of as a joke, he was calling me like Scully or Moldick or some shit, and I'm like, and I never watched like the X Files, so I'm like, what are you talking about?
But you didn't walk into the middle of the group and go,
I'm a cop, goddammit!
and you just picked up on it.
Well, the
you,
very
you saw
first
your
thing-
clean cutness, and everyone's looking kind of shaggy, especially back in the early Keene days.
sure.
There's some shaggy looking
That's
dudes.
why this guy started doing the weird stuff for money.
No, that was
Was to
I'd
prove
been here.
that he's not a cop.
I had been here for a
He's
while.
like, hey guys, I'll drink my own piss for money.
I had been
a
here.
cop would never do that.
I had already been here for a long time by the time that shit happened. But no, he had said that. I was kind of like, and I'd already been here for maybe a week, maybe a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks even, where I
Before
met
you
Rich.
drank your piss?
No, I've been here way long before that. But anyways, where Rich Paul said that, I was like, what, Mulder, Scully? He was kind of partially joking. I was like, and then I thought, I'm like, holy fuck.
X-Files.
I'm like, the very first thing I ever attended was the Jim Johnson trial. So I was kind of like, wow. And I wasn't very active on Facebook. So I'm like, yeah, I guess, I was a prime suspect just to come in and just, go to this controversial trial. And it was like the first trial in Keene in the history of Keene. So it was like a big deal. So yeah, so of course
I don't think it was the first trial ever in Keene. I'm fairly certain that they've had a court since like the 1700s.
No, within the Free State Project, it was the first jury trial they made with Jim Johnson. It was like pretty much an epic. It was pretty much an epic thing going on. So, but anywho, right off the bat, I was never accused of it or anything. So like Rich Paul had said that, and I'm kind of like, But it's so funny. They're so attached to like visual stuff as opposed to, I'm like, oh yeah, if they're gonna send a Fed in, they're gonna look like, some biker and shit with tattoos and whatnot.
Wouldn't that be something we find out a year from now or something? That's someone we've been essentially living with.
You?
I know exactly. It'd be me or James.
This isn't
It'd be Robin Hood, man.
Yeah.
James does some very Fed-tastic things.
And it would never be Keith, the Fed. He's probably the purest of us all.
Yeah, the thing, I don't think you could really fake the whole Fed thing. Like, as far as, it's not like being an undercover mob member or something where you have to fake a philosophy. I don't think when you actually sit down and talk to people,
Yeah,
maybe
maybe
I don't think it could be done. Unless
maybe they would start off a statist and just living with us and hearing the jargon all the time, repeatedly, and listen to the podcast. And you'll start to develop the bubble effect. And
you could
and
tell
to take on.
You could tell within a few questions if someone's a Fed. Like, you can't fake a philosophy, in my opinion. It would take the best actors in Hollywood couldn't pull that off. So to think a Fed could come in and like,
well, what about some of our members who, for example, who are Republicans, or even are objectivists who plain out say that I am not an anarchist, I'm not a voluntarist, this is what I am, and so they're not trying to hide who they are. They would be the most likely, in my book, to be.
Definitely.
The splinter cell folks who are infiltrated and are trying to get all kinds of crazy information on us.
Yeah.
I think I have a drop for something like that, but I can't find it.
Yeah, there's some folk. I guess I'm skeptical of people I don't know.
All of it. I shouldn't even get into it.
Conspiracy amongst our own people. And that's what they would want us to do, is to start, because what do we do most of the time? Looking on when we're on Facebook or when we're having our meetings and all. Most of the time we're bitching about what we are doing.
Sure.
We spend more time bitching about our own people, our own family, than we do bitching about the state who is doing the most damage to us.
I feel more judged amongst my peers here than I have felt amongst statists my entire life. Honestly, there is such this fine-tooth thing where everybody has their own little intricate philosophies and everybody's
principles. It's all about principles.
People really get into their thing and they get so judgmental over anything that may fall. And it's part of the whole thing where people don't want to be original. So everybody kind of takes their own little facets.
Is that why we all have our own radio show?
And I'm that way too, I guess, some way. Yeah,
Then everybody wants to define words differently.
Sure.
I'm sure you've had that conversation to where, somebody will say, no, I don't think we should legalize everything. We should lawfulize things because legal is a statist word.
Yeah.
And lawful isn't.
I like lawful. I'm going to turn you down there.
Google buys in the gas pocket.
I like lawfulized. That sounds. I've never heard of that before tonight.
That's the dumbest word I've ever fucking heard in my entire fucking life.
You were horrible, man. You were just yelling. Just
Lawfulize. It's the word of the day.
Fuck you, and fuck you.
Who's Nick?
Yes, exactly. No, when I hear lawfulized, the
Alright.
first thing that pops in my head is like fucking Scooby-Doo trying to say waffle. And then the second thing that pops in my head is falafel.
What about decriminalize? Does that work with you? I mean, what word would you use to define making laws, unlaws,
Legalize.
unlaws?
You would
unlawsing?
legalize things.
Yeah, decriminalize is a bad word. Like it's kind of the midway point. Sometimes people get hung up on that. All that means
Yeah.
is that it's finable at that point. So it's kind of like
Yeah, but if you make,
decriminalized.
but if you make it legal, then you also make it, touchable by the
Hold
government,
on.
and they can start taxing
No,
and shit.
No,
Decriminalize-
decriminalize does that.
No.
Decriminalize
All right,
does
fix
that.
me, fix it.
Tomatoes are perfectly legal.
God, I'm gonna turn you down again. Keep going.
True or false? Tomatoes are legal.
Like Twisted Sister over here.
I don't know. They shouldn't. They should be. They're natural. They shouldn't
Right.
be legal. They should
There
be.
is no law on the books that regulates tomatoes as a regulated substance. There might be some law somewhere.
There probably is something about like the
There's
seeds. The
probably a regulation on like the serving of stuff. But when you go to the grocery store or the hardware store or the plant store to purchase tomato seeds,
Uh-huh.
you don't have paperwork that you need to fill out. Like, you're not being regulated on the purchase of tomato
And so
seeds.
what is? So tomatoes are
Tomatoes
legal.
are perfectly legal.
But when I think legal, I think the state has given me permission. They said they have labeled this legal. You have our permission to go ahead and purchase this.
No, there are things that are legal.
but they're
because-
taxable.
Can I finish my sentence? There are things that are legal because there was never a law made making it illegal. There are other things that are legal because they were once legal, then they became illegal, and then they were re-legalized.
Right.
So, talking about cannabis, I prefer the term re-legalize because that lets people know at one time there were no laws prohibiting this substance.
Right. Right.
Let's go back to that.
You know what I like better?
Re-legalize.
I like naturalize. That's the word I'm going to go with. I'm going to make a whole Facebook page.
Hold on. So you want the cannabis to be imported and then take a citizenship test and be naturalized?
If it's coming from other countries, yes. But if it's grown right here in the States, no, it shouldn't have to go through all those bells and hoops and fiery hurdles and stuff.
So you want it to be a natural-born citizen?
I would prefer
Because-
I would prefer to buy the best and cheapest stuff.
Right.
So
but
wherever
no,
it comes from,
but when you're saying naturalized, I'm immediately thinking of like immigrants.
I'm just thinking of, just making it natural. It's a natural product. It's something to be grown in the
Yeah.
yard.
It
you
should
don't
be re-legalized.
you don't need government to regulate it for you.
You need government to
Because guess-
repeal all of the laws
because guess-
related to it.
Because guess what?
which
Government
would
regulates
legalize.
Government regulates your legal tomatoes, and they tax your legal tomatoes. They don't tax the leaves that are falling off. Well, they might. They have a timber tax here in New Hampshire, but they don't. There's certain things they don't tax. They don't touch. I want those things.
If I go to the grocery store and purchase tomatoes, there's no tax on that unless I purchase it as a prepared food in New Hampshire.
Correct, but at one point or another in the life of that tomato, there was tax involved. The property tax, where the farm exists, the
But
the
if
vehicles,
you grow your,
the
if you
gas
grow
that they
your
spend.
own tomatoes in your backyard and use them for personal consumption.
I bought the seeds at Walmart, and they were taxed.
Okay, but the second
original.
generation of seed,
As long as they weren't hybrid Monsanto seeds, and yes, they were, what is it?
Heirloom?
Heirloom. Then yes, they are not taxed.
Exactly.
They're free from tax, but I had to make them that way, and it took me a whole year to do it, to get away from fucking all that. But then I have to water them with something, and so unless I'm collecting water from my drain spouts, I'm buying the water, which is fucking, and it's city water, and that's just horrible right there.
Okay,
$30 every.
Now you're getting down to
What I'm trying to get down,
everything is taxed.
and everything is taxed.
Right.
You can't get away from it.
But to say that because at some level of the production of a tomato that you're being taxed on growing your tomatoes,
Right.
You're fucking splitting hairs down to the 957th fucking decibel.
But we're going back to, you bought them at a store, and yes, they're taxed and they're regulated. So, and they're legal. But guess what? If I had naturalized pot growing in my backyard, that would be something that
Well,
no
you
one.
had to buy that seed from somewhere, and somebody somewhere along the line paid tax. The fucking IRS says
No.
that you have to pay income tax.
They're not legal yet.
Hold on.
So maybe I got some. Go ahead.
The IRS says that you have to pay income tax on income from illegal activities.
I saw that. There's a box that
Yes.
says, is any of this income from illegal activities?
It's line 21. The instructions for line 21 of the 1040
Unbelievable.
says that
is
you are
so
to
lame.
include income from illegal activities.
I mean, what are these guys thinking?
So
How many people check that box?
if you're splitting hairs on tomatoes, then your fucking drug dealer is paying tax on the fucking weed.
Oh shit! And that's why, by
And
the
then
way,
most of them are laundering the money because that's what Saul Goodman tells them to do. Then they pay tax on it. So
better call Saul.
you know, if you want to split hairs on
I should get that drop.
fucking taxable tomatoes, then your weed's fucking taxed too, even if you buy it in the fucking black market, you son of a bitch.
He cannot pick up a knife to
Yeah.
cut a steak.
Wisdom from fucking Perry, man. You're a great guy. Fucking now you've gone from tomatoes or from steaks to tomatoes.
You
man.
say tomato, I say fuck you.
They're like, hey, guess what? We're going to fuck you now.
that's how it works, man.
But yeah, the important thing, just get away from the word decriminalize. Sometimes people hang on that, but that's a bad word. That just means that
Yeah.
the government could then fine. It
It's
means
now
it's
a
finable.
violation.
It's
not
finable.
a crime.
All right,
Yeah,
that's
they
why I
fine
said
the
I like
fuck out of
I
it.
like naturalize. I think that sounds.
You just call it fuck you and let me do what I want, put what I want in my own body. That's what I
which is
call it.
Right,
which is the
but-
natural. Going back to the natural way of thinking.
If you
The
say
caveman.
naturalize,
How about caveman it?
if you
Yeah.
say naturalize something, then you're going to spend a fucking
Yeah, but I'm not talking
hour
about people. I'm talking about
trying
like
to-
an item, like weed.
right. But when you're having conversations with people, unless you want to sit around and talk to chickens and tomatoes all day, when you use
Which
a
I
word
do.
that people don't know the context of because everybody wants to define their own words differently, you're going to have an hour-long conversation trying to explain to somebody what you mean by naturalized cannabis.
Daryl, every time I try to explain people my political affiliation, I have to have these long conversations. Harry Reid, which we're going to go into in a little bit, is dragging my political affiliation through the fucking mud.
Yes. Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
And so it gives people the wrong idea, and they're like, all right, well, you're a libertarian? I heard all this and this and that. Chris Christie told me this. The Republicans are hearing from their big fat boy, Chris Christie, that libertarians are this. He's completely running through the mud. People think Rand Paul, and they're like, well, he's a libertarian, and I'm all against all of that. And so now you got Harry Reid saying something about the old anarchists.
going
I mean,
on
you just
over
can't get
there?
away. I mean, so as far as the explaining is involved, all the explaining that is involved, you just can't get away from it. Every time I have to talk about something. And let's just play this. All right, so what did he do? Speaking of Harry Reid,
Yes.
where are you from?
Reno, Nevada?
So you know this guy.
I grew up kind of listening to a lot of this bastard for like the last 20 years. And yeah, he is, people don't realize, I mean, he is a high ranking motherfucker. I mean, as far as like, he's above Obama in my opinion, as far as the criminal gang goes, but the government
controls
is
what the fuck the Senate does.
they are when people think
Obama's
like the
like
mafia.
one vote.
They're like they are the mafia times
not even
10.
that.
these are criminal gang members, and he is going back. He was part of the gaming commissions in Vegas back to the 1980s. He was the one, if you've ever seen like Casino and stuff, he was the one who, it's kind of like the government stepped in when the mobsters were making money, and the government retook that role, and that he was one of the main guys in that. Not to mention he's another lawyer, politician. No, he's right up there. He's one of the top guys, and he's Senate Majority Leader, and he's a criminal fuck. He rigged his first election against, I don't know, it wasn't his first, but in '98 against Ensign, and then in Angle in 2008 there was a power outage. He's down by 5% or something. It comes back on after a couple hours. He's up by 5%. And he wins, and his son is actually, he runs. His son's part of the something of the election committee or something in Nevada. So I mean, yeah,
like
not to mention
Secretary of State or Attorney General,
What's
something
it?
like that. I think.
Yeah, not to mention dead people voted. I mean, more people. Yeah, I mean, he's a corrupt motherfucker. There's no way he could have been elected in Nevada, but sure enough, he's been the motherfucker. He used to be the Senate minority. Now he's the majority leader. But anyhow,
Point is, it just gets crazier by the minute.
I mean, how do you get away from it all?
yeah, it's bad,
Except
man.
move to New Hampshire.
All right, so the context here for this video that we're about to show, Harry Reid is pissed off because there
He can't get
was
his
an
bill passed.
EPA bill that would do a bunch of horrible shit, mandate people do some stuff with their house and whatnot. And he's upset because a couple of Republicans introduced amendments that he doesn't like. So that's where his speech picks up.
A lot of happy talk about what a great piece of legislation this is, and it is. But even though I've worked with Senator Shaheen and Senator Portman, there will be no amendments. We've got them all. We got all bipartisan amendments. Of course, we're diverted totally from what this bill is all about. Why? Why, Mr. President? Because the anarchists have taken over. They've taken over the House. Now they're here in the Senate. The Speaker couldn't pass a simple CR today. When asked at a press event yesterday, as I was reported to me on the news today, they said, "What's next?" He said, "You have a couple ideas? Give them to me. They'll be shot down also." We're in a position here where people who don't believe in government, and that's what the Tea Party's all about, are winning. That's a shame.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay, so there are several factual inaccuracies with what Harry Reid said.
I mean, like the fact that he's referring to the Tea Party as anarchists?
Aside from that, he mentions, and this was from Thursday, September the 12th, he says that the Speaker, meaning Speaker of the House, could not get a CR, which is concurrent resolution, passed. Well, the problem is there were no votes on concurrent resolutions on September the 12th. There were also no votes on concurrent resolutions in the House on September the 11th.
So is he talking about like pre-votes? Like he went around and asked people if they would vote one way or another, and he just kind of turned that into his ultimate vote?
Either that happened, or Harry Reid is doing what Harry Reid does, and he makes shit up.
Just lies right out of his ass?
And secondly, Harry Reid falsely claims that the Tea Party doesn't like government. They love government.
As long as it's doing what they want it to do.
As long as it does what they want it to do.
Correct.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to broaden the term to fall, I guess, more people into that spectrum of anarchists. Because, some scary times are coming on. We're already listed like people like ourselves, I guess, to collectivize.
We're gang members.
Yeah,
we're listed as gang members.
We're domestic terrorists, for Christ's sake. So, I mean, they're really trying to broaden the domestic terrorists all the way down to that's our target market, essentially, a lot of these Tea Party members. I mean, I think a lot of them they could move over to our side, the dark side or whatever. But, I mean, they're kind of, some of them they're in the midst. They just need to, learn a little bit more info and whatnot. But, yeah, they're trying to broaden the term to meet them, and it kind of bastardizes the word anarchist to, hear these people who like government except for their causes, like what you guys just said. So,
exactly.
Anyway.
But, I mean, but to take it that far, I mean, it was one thing running the libertarians through the mud. I mean, I don't know, it's just one of those words. But fucking anarchist, I mean, come on, man. These people aren't anarchists. They're far from it. They are so entrenched in government. They could never be even close to anarchists. I mean, if you were to ever run, and by the way, we are running this year. So I mean, can we be anarchists? I mean, as long as we lay our platform out and we are concise, I mean, it's all right, right? I mean, how does an anarchist run for government?
You know, it's one of those sort of difficult things, but I justify it as, and I hate quoting dead people because it's one of my pet peeves. A lot of times, well, so-and-so said blah, 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 and he's dead now, so that means his words are special.
Yeah, not only dead, but 100 years dead, and so it's different times.
But, a lot of people of the anarchist philosophy look up to Lysander Spooner. Mm-hmm. So to sort of, take Spooner's approach where you can vote in self-defense, one could also run for office in self-defense.
Gotcha.
To say, if I'm elected, I will only repeal things.
Correct. Yeah. And speaking of running for office, Daryl running for mayor of Keene.
Yes.
Right now you have two opponents. One is the incumbent.
There are two people that have filed to run against me, one of whom, based on the actual wording of the state law,
won't make it.
Cannot be on the ballot.
Right.
But because apparently the Attorney General never issued a formal ruling on what the law says, the city clerk here in Keene has gone to the Attorney General asking for a formal ruling of whether or not a felon can be a candidate if that felon still has time left on his sentence. But the law says that no felon shall become a candidate or serve in public office.
Right, so that probably will not happen.
Right.
Okay, and I'm running Ward 4. I've got one going up against one. Also the incumbent, James Robin Hood Cleveland, is going to be running in Ward 2, I believe, going up against the incumbent. Ian Freeman, who was on a couple of weeks ago, will be running at large.
He's running at large against several incumbents.
And there will be a primary. And one of them.
There is a primary for the at large.
Correct. And this is, thank you, Daryl W. Perry, FPP.cc, for setting all that up. There'll be a primary and there'll be a general election forum.
Yes.
And that's something that I'm going to have to go put myself through, and I hate those things. They're so scary.
Well, you're not invited to the pre-primary forum.
But the general thing, though.
Because there is no primary for you.
Right. So I'll only have to do one, and I'll have to do that silly, I don't know. If it depends on Cynthia Georgina does the talkback radio station. She always has the candidates on, but she is going to be retiring mid-process, and so there's no telling what the new guys are going to do. So I might not have my 15 minutes of fame, my 15 minutes of getting out there and talking about what I believe in, and which is no government.
Yeah, you guys are sadistic bastards even to go through that shit.
It's painful, man.
Oh my god,
it's fucking painful.
I'm running on the suck my balls campaign.
The hardest part about it is trying to get votes and at the same time deliver, my statement of intent, which is I want to eliminate the whole state.
Yes.
But I want to get your votes at the same time, and so that's very difficult. Some people have talked about going to the college. I mean, because a lot of the college students...
that wouldn't help for you.
Because they don't vote.
No, they're not in your ward.
Exactly. I'm in Ward 4, so my slither of
the college
Keene,
kids are mostly in Ward 1.
Exactly. But even if you did, even if you were at large like Ian, you still got to get those fuckers to wake up on whatever morning that is and go to the voting precinct, which they probably don't know where it's at. Yeah,
that's why you offer free rides.
Yeah, unless you've got brownish tint skin, and your name is Obama, rhymes with Obama. I like to, yeah. Then you don't have a chance.
Yeah.
But I mean, but we do have a lot in common. I mean, the whole decrim thing,
Obama.
naturalize, legalize, however you guys want to put it. I mean, there's a lot of youngsters who can get on board on that, and the whole in the war thing. I mean, don't bring articles of war to our city like Bearcats. What the fuck is that all about?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And I almost get the feeling that they are sending more articles of war, implements of war to the states than they are sending overseas.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So going back real quick to the Harry Reid anarchist comment.
Dirty Harry.
I posted an article on fpp.cc, and I'm not going to read the entire thing, but one thing that I did write was, calling Tea Party members anarchist plays nicely into the narrative for both Reid and the members of the Tea Party that want people to believe that they don't like big government. The problem is that is simply not true. Some Republicans will do whatever they can to make sure that certain bills that they may not like get delayed. And there was a guy named Trevor Holtner that wrote an article titled "The Rise of the Myth of the Republican Anarchist." And one thing that he wrote that I really like, he says, despite their flirtation with often the most basic or vulgar of libertarianism, Republicans love the state. Specifically, they love the aspects of the state that anarchists loathe the most.
Exactly.
And so then I posted what would happen if an anarchist was actually in Congress.
And point one is, what would he do?
Among the first things would be to defund the entire government. An anarchist would also vote or introduce legislation to abolish all forms of taxation, and also to withdraw the U.S. military from the nearly 1,000 bases around the world.
But if he is going up against a majority, like, for example, if, say, one of us was elected here in Keene.
Yes.
We're going up against 12 or against 11.
14.
There's 14 total?
There's 15 on the city
total.
council.
Gotcha.
Plus the mayor, plus the city manager, who claims to run the city.
Yes, and the way it looks, the way that the council members take advice from him,
not just in the thing of he's hired to handle day-to-day operations.
And what about the city attorney?
The city manager thinks that he controls everything that happens in Keene.
The way I've seen him, his presence, and the way that they ask him questions, I would say that yes, he does. The
city council does whatever the fuck John McCain wants.
That's what I mean. He is in fact Prince John.
Yeah,
and I'm not. Yeah, and what about the city attorney? Because they go to him for every single question they have as well. So I mean, those two guys, man, they're fucking like mafia lords, and the fucking guy looks like a mafia lord.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Fucking Prince John.
Yeah.
He's horrible. But yeah, so yeah, your city councils that you vote for every year, no. Every time they have a question, they go to him. Every time they want to pass something, it comes from his offices. Like, for example, the whole dog thing, the whole dog license thing. It didn't come from city council. It came from a clerk. It didn't come from a resident. It came from one of the city clerks. He probably doesn't even live in Keene. Man. And it's like, well, who put her up to it? And why did they send her? Why didn't they send the head clerk guy? Why didn't they send, what's his face?
Bill Dow?
Bill Dow.
He's the assistant city clerk.
Mm-hmm.
Patty Little.
Why did they send one of their underlings?
Clerk.
Why did they send one of the little desk girls?
I don't know.
All I'm saying is because she's worried because she was one of the prettiest of the clerks. I'm thinking that you're absolutely right. I think you hit the nail on the head. But I mean, why would they send one of the underlings to pass their little bill so they can make what? Make more revenue, make more funds for the city. And yes, when you consider that a whole 200 people didn't pay their fine, their licenses this year, 200 times at least $10.
No, at least $750, because not everybody has to pay the testicle tax.
I'm saying at least the highest it could be is $10 per dog. But if you have a lot of, so if you have, if the testicle tax, you knock 350 off, 250, so you do 750. And if you're an old person, guess what? You only fucking pay $2. And guess who fucking votes? Why do fucking old people get all these goddamn benefits? There are more old people on welfare in this city than everyone else. And guess who votes?
Old
people.
Those stinky motherfuckers.
God
that old person
damn it.
smell. Then you have to fumigate everywhere they go. They're just
No, I don't talk. No, now you're running my old people fans off. They
Yeah,
watch
no.
the show.
Ah.
When Ian was on Talkback with Cynthia
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday, towards the end of the conversation, Ian was talking about removing some of the restrictions that are anti-business, such as you can't have upward-facing lights on your business. And former counselor Jim Duffy, who was co-hosting
Who's probably one of the
Talkback,
guys who enforced it to death.
he said, well, no, it's not just some random thing that says they can't do this. There was a committee that got together and they studied this, and then there was input, and then there was a vote on it, Ian.
And who the fuck? Who was the committee? Council members probably. And who was involved? How many of the residents knew about this vote that it took place?
They had a public hearing, Ian.
Yeah, no.
They had a public hearing.
And we've been to these public hearings, and how many people show up? How many people even know that these fucking things happen?
The 12 people that are on the fucking email list.
And we're half of them are us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really sad that shit really has to just break down and fucking. I mean, you don't fucking, and I'm a bad example of this, you don't replace your tires when the threads are poking through your tires. You replace them beforehand so you're not driving
Says
around.
the guy who had threads poking through his tires.
But this is exactly what it's coming to. I mean, people are watching the system break. It's destroying itself. It's eating itself from within, and no one cares because football is more important. Because fucking Miley Cyrus licking a sledgehammer is more fucking important than fucking wars in Syria.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus licking a sledgehammer.
It's sexy as hell.
It was hot. And then she was naked on the fucking wrecking ball.
Oh, I missed this. What? Huh?
Don't watch it. Don't do it.
I mean, what
Do
is
it!
The war in Syria is more important. Don't watch Miley Cyrus on a fucking wrecking ball.
Molly Cyrus is the most important thing. My whole thing, like, what else is she supposed
You
to
don't
do?
like slender girls.
I saw her,
You like
like
the fat girls.
No, I saw her dancing around. I'm like, well, she can't dance. I mean, she might as well stick a finger up her ass. Like, I mean,
She's
like,
not dancing. She's swinging on a wrecking ball.
She's-
that's what I mean. Like, she might as well do something like that.
On a
because
wrecking ball.
What is she supposed to do? Like, because she can't dance. Like, I mean, of course she has to do something like that. Like,
Yeah,
man,
she's naked, completely naked, on a wrecking ball, and it's done very classy.
I think it was all right, and the fact that she's probably has enough black in her these days that she should be picking up some dance moves. I don't know why it hasn't happened
No,
yet.
she's
Hold on,
she
is
can't
that
dance.
like some
Innuendo, yes.
Yeah,
She's got a bunch of black
some
in her.
black in her.
yeah? I don't know
Oh,
if she's got any rebel in her, but I'd give her some.
I don't know. She is hot, and she's just
Yeah.
it's the whole tongue thing that really pisses me off.
I don't understand the tongue thing.
I don't. It's something these young people have picked up. But the whole thing is that pictures of her hot, and then I immediately find out about her, and then my stomach starts to churn. I hear her talk, or I know what she's all about, and it's just like I want to puke in my mouth. But yeah, it's as long as she doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, since when is the music industry not about like hoeing yourself out? Like, I mean, like, it's like so shocking all of a sudden.
But
Like,
isn't it funny that all this came out like during the whole Syria thing?
Oh,
I mean,
of
do you think
course,
do you think that there's any?
I
The
think so.
really
I
funny
do. I do.
thing is all the people that were getting up in arms about, oh, Miley Cyrus, it was vulgar. I watched it trying to find the vulgar part, and all I could think was, this is nowhere near as bad as shit that I saw Madonna do when I was in middle school.
Yeah, I woke up that morning and like it was kind of like my dad was like, "Oh, that Molly Cyrus. Oh, wow, what a slut she is." And I was kind of like, "Huh? Who the fuck is that?" Like, and my dad, like, he lives off of like conservative talk radio.
Tabloid
so I was kind of like,
stuff.
I'm like, huh? So that's like the big thing right now. I'm like, who the fuck, Molly Cyrus? Who is that? Is that like Montana Banana or like what the fuck?
Hannah Montana.
Yeah, like, And I saw it. I was just like.
Come on, Rapture, get with it, man.
Yeah.
I've been watching Hannah Montana my whole life. That's about how old Sasha is. She's been watching all that nonsense.
Wow.
She's brought some good shows. Yes, I'm talking about you.
The worst part.
She's brought some good shows into the household, like Samurai Jack and fucking Dexter's Laboratory.
The worst part about the Miley Cyrus VMA thing was how ill-fitting the thing was that she was wearing that made her ass look like the butt end of an
I saw
uncooked
that
chicken.
picture. I saw that picture, and then I tried to find that same image in the video. I couldn't find it. That looked like a nice little tight ass. I didn't have any problem with it.
But the thing, it wasn't fitting properly.
I
is
know.
what I'm
I
saying.
didn't see that image.
Okay.
I only watched it once, and I fucking watched it 24 hours later. I'm proud to say I didn't watch it immediately. I sat on it, thought about it. There's a video that we're going to play this evening that is hosted by a group that we don't make any money from, the Koch brothers. No, we don't make any money from the Koch brothers.
We're funded by the Koch brothers. I
Hold on,
thought
They would never
There's
fund
a
us.
video hosted by the Koch
Not
brothers.
hosted, but it was produced by the Koch brothers, or it was paid
No.
for. Paid for.
It was done by Second City.
And why does it say produced or paid for by the Koch brothers at the end of the show, the end of the video?
Probably is a fucking parody because the entire thing is satire.
Wait, why would they do that? Why would they run their name through the mud? That last thing that it says is paid for by the Koch brothers. Are you saying that's satire? Are you saying that's
I'm
that's
saying the entire video is satire.
Yeah. But they would that's something that they would fund.
I'm saying the Koch brothers didn't fund it.
It's anti-Obama. They're not anarchists. They're anti-Obama, and anything that they can swing with that's anti-Obama, they're going to run with, even if it has to be anarchist principles. Like, don't fund fucking World War III. Thank you very much.
I'm saying the entire thing is satire. So the people that made the video, Second City, the comedy group, Second City, just threw in funded by the Koch brothers at the end.
I think that was a bad move, because if it was truly not
to
funded by
parody
them,
the entire thing, to make people think that the Koch brothers
what do you think?
put out the satire.
I think we need to do some investigating on this one.
Yeah, just for the record, when it comes, I don't know if y'all know, but a lot of the locals here think that the FSP or whatnot or the Keeniacs were funded by the Koch brothers of all
We
things.
don't have any money.
And the thing that's so funny about that is like, yeah, we believe in free market economics, and let alone these people have pretty much a monopoly. Like, why are they going to be funding fucking free market economics? Like, they have a monopoly on fucking cola of all
We
things.
preach against them.
Yeah,
If
I mean,
we
we are the enemy of the fucking Koch
If we
brothers.
had money, we'd be buying all the real estate in Keene.
God, I mean, I would soak a. I mean, give me a hand. I would.
Hold on, you can't buy all of the real estate in Keene. The city owns half of it.
Yeah, I know. How do you like that? Tell us about what we just found out about how them own fucking a whole,
I've got
a whole
the
strip.
entire list of city-owned land and property that I'm still parsing through, but they own pretty much the entire one side of Central Square.
Mm-hmm.
The building that Corner News and YOLO, the yogurt place, are in, is city-owned.
Yogurt.
Good drop. I don't have it.
Yeah.
The city, they own just a ton of shit.
So check this out. So here I'm always the whole parking enforcement thing. I'm like, that shouldn't be a project. That should be by the owner. Oh, what do you know? It is by the owner, and they're fucking using your tax dollars to pay for their fucking street maintenance, their
Plus
parking
they
maintenance.
charge the tenants of the building.
Exactly. So they're making money on top of money.
So that what they do, they make money on top of money, but they'll charge the tenants some sort of weird parking thing for the privilege of having parking spots in front of their business.
Cheshire TV is a prime example. He has Lee has to pay for his parking spot every fucking
He's
year.
got 3 parking spots that are supposed to be reserved for Cheshire TV employees, but yet the parking department people, the fire chief, and pretty much any other city employee will just pull in there and nothing happens.
Exactly.
They're like, hey, guess what? We're going to fuck you now.
Exactly. All right.
Just can't get away, man. You can't get
Here, let's play this
Like
video here.
Wake up, Clyde.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Irene.
I'm Lisa.
My name is Tom.
I'm a graphic designer.
College freshman.
Stay-at-home mom with a full-time job.
Scholar on social policy and a barista.
And I'm just like you.
I'm an Obama supporter.
I support President Obama.
But the president needs your help.
Our president can't launch into another war without you. And remember, when we voted for him in 2008 and 2012, we promised to support him no matter what.
Together, we can do it.
That's why we here at the Americans for Whatever Barack Obama Wants, Did You Know He's Friends with Jay-Z, have launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund World War III.
And America is dead ass broke. So our goal is to raise $1.6 trillion on behalf of the U.S. government.
That's where you come in.
Even a small donation would make all the difference.
World War III is a very important, very progressive war that Obama tells me is very important. So it must be.
When I first saw the president speak in 2008 in a YouTube clip posted to my Facebook page, I knew he was going to be right all the time. So I support World War III and IV and any moon war the president may want to start.
I mean, there is no way that he or the cabal of corporate interests, spy agencies, and shadow bankers that tell him what to do would ever mislead us.
Why donate?
The $1.6 trillion that we raise will help create a war that truly puts the liberal in neoliberal. There will be millions of troops, thousands of organic grass-fed bombs, hybrid Prius tanks, rockets controlled by iPads, and drones that play the Lumineers while they attack.
World War III is not going to be like those other Republican wars fought on just 1% of the world. This war is going to be fought in 99% of the world.
It'll be everywhere. Russia, China, Africa, Cincinnati, your favorite brunch spot, the one with those kick-ass ranchero breakfast burritos.
Everywhere.
World War III will also be the most social media focused war ever. It'll be all over Twitter, Facebook, Vine, Pinterest, and whatever eventually replaces Pinterest. And I mean, just think of all the hilarious gifs we can make of cats reacting to their owners' homes being obliterated.
Lots of shock, but tons of aw.
And come on, guys, how good will Michelle's arms look in sleeveless army
No
bikinis?
shit.
What's in it for
We
you?
have a lot of great rewards for our donors. If you donate $10 to the World War III project, you'll get a shout out on social media.
Hashtag thank you.
A $25 donation
Yo.
will get you a piece of rubble from a war-torn Middle Eastern country kissed by Senator Lindsey Graham.
A $100 donation gets you a day pass to leave your local refugee camp.
You'll probably end up in a refugee camp, but it'll have free Wi-Fi.
And a $10 million donation gets you your own senator for a year.
So please,
Or
help us
Daryl
reach
W.
our
Perry,
goal of
you
$1.6
for
trillion
$100.
so we can make World War III a reality. Why? Because Obama.
Because Obama.
What?
Because Obama.
All right. So they didn't say brothers; they say industries. So are you saying that's a satire? That's a
The entire thing is satire.
Yeah.
okay. Well,
course
that
it's
makes
satire.
me feel a lot better then. But I
The
still
entire thing is satire.
What are you, Polish? You didn't pick up on that, you silly bastard? I'm kidding. What's good?
thanks, man.
I'm kidding, you bastard.
Polish.
Sorry.
No,
And they're going to have organic grass-fed bombs and hybrid Prius tanks.
I mean all that sounds
I
like
want to
something. that-
donate $100 so that I get the day pass out of the refugee camp.
I mean, you couldn't envision
but at
that.
the same time, I want to stay in the refugee camp because of free Wi-Fi.
No shit. But I mean, you could not envision a Tea Party member producing this program, this show, this video.
I don't see members of the Tea Party.
The whole thing was anti-Obama. That's what they. That's what they.
Hold
That's what they
on.
drive on. Go. Tell me.
Hold on. You missed the part where the guy that was the expert on social policy and the barista was talking about the shadow bankers and the globalist cabal that controls everything. The Tea Party would never put that in there. The Tea Party people that I've met are not intelligent enough to put together something that well produced.
So they're not Alex Jones listeners.
Just heaven help us. It's so hardcore. People don't won't even believe it.
The ones that I've met, and I went to several Tea Party events when I lived down south, the people weren't anti-government. They weren't anti-tax.
They're
most of them
pro-Constitution.
Most of them pro-Constitution, except let's repeal the 17th Amendment and the 16th Amendment and the 12th Amendment and do this and make this change and pass this amendment. But we need the fair tax, because if people are paying a consumption tax and getting a massive welfare check every fucking month, then somehow things will be different. But let's continue funding everything. Oh, no, we can't defund the military because we need the military to keep us safe because...
From all the enemies that we've created.
Yeah. That was the fucking Tea Party that I am aware of.
That guy that told us to get off that property that was probably not for sale any longer was probably a member. That just happened today. That's a little... Let's not go there.
I was in my car, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no big deal. So I like that video, and if you just saw that and you know some liberal friends, I got a lot of I have liberal friends on my Facebook channel. Share that with them, because that, I mean, that's just and that's hard hitting right there.
And go to Facebook and become a fan of Americans for Whatever Barack Obama Wants.
I just saw you created that.
Did you know he's friends with Jay-Z?
Now I do. Did you know Jay-Z was New World Order? And Beyonce?
Yeah. I knew.
Drop him some pyramid
Yeah,
digits.
I think the times are good, man. It's kind of cool. Like, I mean, as far as like our message right now, like pretty much it's the easiest to get out, more so than it's ever been. I mean, as far as a lot of people are listening now that didn't listen before. A lot of the Obama voters or whatnot are kind of seeing through this bullshit.
Because you have alternatives. The internet has and why does the government want to regulate the internet so badly? Because guess what we're doing? It's the downfall of the state.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
it's not even a splinter in their ass anymore. Now it's a goddamn wedge.
It's the first time freedom of speech has ever really existed is the internet. So, I mean, it's kind of like the first time people could get information across. It still isn't, unfortunately, it's not as effective as what one would think, but hopefully it's getting more and more so.
I mean, what do you think of the liberty community? I've heard estimates as high as 10% of the population. What do you think it has now? I mean, do you think that it's gone up? Do you think it's the same? Do you think there are people who are on the wagon, who are on the fence?
Please define your term.
Not Tea Party. I mean people who believe in ultimate freedom. Yeah. Freedom from taxes, freedom from regulation, freedom from government, freedom to live their lives. And I always thought it was about 10%, but that might be a high estimate.
It might be.
Maybe.
It's growing every day, though. It definitely is.
I mean, you can't go by voting, because a lot of these people that I'm talking about don't fucking vote. So as far as Ron Paul getting whatever percentage that he got, which was what? Do you remember?
And who even knows? I mean, as far as like it's Stalin says, it's not who votes, who counts the votes. So it's kind of like
who counts the votes.
So I mean, who knows how many people would have voted for Ron Paul or who actually did? So I mean,
well, that's a very basic summarization of what Stalin actually said.
Yeah.
The statement was, "I consider it unimportant who in the party cast a vote, but more important who in the party counts the vote."
I'm Batman.
I see.
Why was that drop played? Don't know. Stalin, man. Fucking a tough dude.
Silly bastard.
But
just silly bastard tough
no,
dude.
As far as if you're trying to take some sort of thing of people that voted for Ron Paul and then calculate a percentage of people in the U.S. that support total freedom, you can't consider everybody that voted for Ron Paul to support total freedom. Yeah. There are a bunch of fucking statist fucks that voted for Ron Paul because they thought that he would be better.
And most of them are voting for Rand in this next coming.
A lot of them are.
Yeah. They're just going from one joker to the next.
Yeah.
And I really do like Ron Paul.
I know of people that supported Ron Paul in 2008.
8, yeah.
But then wound up, after he lost the primary, wound up voting for Alan Keyes in the general election. Then there were people that, they were Ron Paul in 2008 and was like, oh, well, I really like Newt and Herman Cain are making sense. Newt Gingrich and Herman Cain are nowhere near Ron Paul philosophically.
Yeah.
Other than, they're Republicans and there are some things they agree on. But as far as, supporting small government, Herman Cain wouldn't know small government if it bit him in the ass. To Herman Cain and Newt Gingrich and Harry Reid, an anarchist is anybody that wants government to grow at a slower rate than they
exactly.
do.
Not even decrease, just that it grows slower. Because in Harry Reid's eye, the government should be paying for everything. It should be taking care of everything. Every small article, fucking food, clothing, jobs, housing. It should take care of every single element of our lives.
It's like being on a bus where the bus driver is going 100 miles an hour towards a cliff, and somebody says, no, we should slow the bus down to like 97 miles an hour. And then I'm over here, can I get off of the fucking bus? And people are telling me, be realistic. We need to just slow the bus down.
Or stop it.
People aren't even wanting to stop the fucking bus.
Well, we've got to get to where we're going, right? We're progressive, so we're constantly moving forward, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, as far as technology is concerned, I guess, I'm progressive as far as that is all that. We've had this conversation. Let's not go there.
Have that conversation again.
Just the word progressive makes my butt itch.
Want
just
my head to explode.
Oh,
don't you?
What do you think about the cloud?
The cloud. I really don't have. I don't have much of an opinion on that. Right?
Okay,
That's like Steve saying. Right?
We won't go there.
Tech.
We'll
that's like makes your butt itch, eh?
We'll have this on the Steve episode.
I had an idea. For a cloud server that was always down that I would call the fog.
To prevent people from ever wanting to pay for the services, and so you wouldn't last, you'd have like one.
No. Just tell it, it's the new thing. Don't put it on the cloud. Put it on the fog. And then they can upload it, but then it's always down.
Well, in some places, there are more fogs. There's more fog available than there are clouds.
Yeah.
Like, nice little low humid areas.
Put it on the fog.
The moors. That's where the Hound of the Baskervilles is from. So, I mean...
Okay, here's a question.
Oh, okay.
For the people that live really high up in the mountains to where the mountain goes into the clouds.
Do they experience fog, but it's not fog, it's clouds?
No, do they consider the clouds to be fog?
That's what I mean.
Like, it's foggy out today, or do they just say it's cloudy out today?
Well, they're the same thing. They're both humidity in the air.
I know that, but it's a different term.
Okay, if you live in the mountains and you periodically have your clouds run through your line of thought,
you can catch the water from the clouds.
What do you call it? Do you call it the clouds are low today, or the clouds are passing through, or what do you call it, fog, like the rest of us lowlanders? Keene, by the way, is in the middle of a fucking swamp, and guess what it did last week?
Foggy.
It got all foggy, and it got all wet and floody. And of course, the city council. And this is one thing we're going to have to think about. I mean, these might be some of the questions that are brought up.
It's flooded numerous times since Keene got the Bearcat, but they've not used the Bearcat.
It's a rescue vehicle
for the flood.
It's a flood rescue vehicle. That's what it is.
They've used it for 2 suicide calls and a bunch of fucking training.
But I mean, as far as these are questions that can be asked. I mean, what are you going to do about Keene flooding? This is something that really can't be fixed. I mean, we
was there a flood? I don't understand.
We live in the bottom of a lake. We live in a swamp.
When does it flood?
The flooding can be fixed. We just need more Agenda 21.
We just need more of your money to pay for the
Agenda 21.
The committee that's going to think about it for the next 2 years.
Agenda 21.
Yeah, there was actually, when I listened to the whole Bearcat thing, there were actually ass clowns that said that If it saves one life, it's worth it. And back so many years ago, we had a flood in Keene, and oh my God, if we only had a fucking tank to save people, like, I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, these are human beings that actually, like, that these are the people that are in charge, like, actually in city council that are using this type of logic, and it's so, like, corky-ish. It's so, like, fucking stupid that, I mean, I can't even, like, I lose brain cells just sitting there fucking listening to these assholes. Like, I'm like, holy, like, these people can't be serious, right? I mean,
They're completely serious.
They think this Bearcat is for flooding. Like, I mean, that's all it takes is to, like, invoke a little fear in some of these ass fucks, and, like, you know,
yeah. And by the way,
as
far as the weight of this vehicle and the way that it's built, this is one of the first vehicles that would get stuck.
Yeah, I mean, you already have, like, fucking
you have tow trucks.
Yeah,
you
have
a
fire truck. Yeah, that's already funded and shit. So I mean, yeah, fire trucks are actually there for, like,
they were at when we went to the event, the whole emergency vehicle event, when they first showed off the Bearcat. They had plenty of vehicles who were more fitted for rescuing other vehicles or rescuing people who were in flooded areas. I mean, the fucking good God! The only reason they got the Bearcat is because they saw it as free. These are people who believe that there are free things in life. There is nothing free in life. Everything is paid for.
Yeah, the Bearcat.
You're just not seeing where the money has come from.
The Bearcat was paid for by federal funds.
Sure.
The city of Keene gets money from neighboring towns, so that if the neighboring town needs to use the Bearcat, they can do so.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, the city of Keene taxpayers aren't paying anything for registering and maintaining the Bearcat.
Well, they might have put forth a little bit as far as federal dollars are concerned. If you pay federal monies, you've
right,
paid
but
into
that's
this.
out of a different pile of money, so it doesn't count.
And on top of that,
you didn't pay for it.
And on top of that, you paid for everyone else's Bearcats. And what is New Hampshire again as far as
those are different piles of money. So
I don't see different piles of money. I see one pile of money. I'm Scrooge.
You see that?
I'm Scrooge McDuck. I swim in one fucking pile of gold.
The city doesn't see it the way you see it. The city sees, oh no, that's federal money,
and that's not logical in my book.
And this is our money, and this is state money. But,
exactly. And you
have you ever wondered why they actually got the Bearcat? There's a video that shows why they actually got the Bearcat.
I believe I have my theories. Anywho,
they saw
exposing the truth. Yeah, it's interesting how they market the attack truck. The police are wearing military-type uniforms. They're using military-style weapons. You know, there's gun ports and there's a turret on the truck. I mean, it's really, I think it's a vehicle designed for offense, not rescue. Any comment?
Like I said, I think it's just a huge setup so they have a reason to harass peaceful people for being in a public park. You know, enjoying the park.
Jumanji is the reason for the Bearcat.
It's the
so
find,
that they
it's,
can
it's the
harass the peaceful people in the park
and find the secret of Keene.
Find the secret of Keene. And also to scare away the animals that come out because of Jumanji.
Those are some badass animals. They were breaking windows. They were fucking pulling things over.
The
elephants were walking over cars.
Rhinos.
I don't want that shit in my city.
And the zebras.
We need to set up a committee right now to keep all the elephants out.
Yeah.
And then when I say elephants, I don't mean Republicans. And I don't. Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't mind keeping all the Republicans out. If we could also find a way to keep all the
donkeys
Democrats
out. Exactly.
Out. Yes.
Well, whenever you figure out how to
do
that,
donkafats.
Whenever you figure out whatever we have to put in the water to make that happen, you know, I'll go ahead and
mushrooms.
Ooh,
and
what about,
LSD.
What about naturalized weed? How do you like how I put that in there?
How about and this helped me with some back pain a couple of years ago. Half a Valium, a Percocet, and a shot of whiskey. Can we put that in the water?
Who makes all those items? I know who makes I kind of know who makes whiskey. Who makes those other items? What drug companies?
Some big pharmaceutical company that is immune
government run.
from
Have you found that that's better than a little
something.
brownie? Does it do the job better?
Don't remember
I know that
much about that evening.
My experience with pill popping has never been good. I took and when I say good, it's not what it should be. I remember taking one. I don't remember what it was, but it was given to an individual for his pain and suffering. And I took one, and I slept for like 16 hours afterwards. I passed out that evening and slept.
I would love to sleep that long.
And I just felt so worthless afterwards. It's like, good God. I slept the whole fucking day, and I didn't need it. It's not like I was in pain. It's not like I was suffering or anything like that. I just took this pill to feel better, and it put me to sleep for 16 hours. So it had the opposite effect of what it should. The question is that whether, what would weed have done in the same, if I had taken it to get rid of a little bit of our weed oil or whatever.
I don't know.
Do you know how weed oil works? Because I never heard of using it that way.
I don't know.
People who are taking it for cancerous reasons.
Well, yeah, when it comes to weed, man, I'm one of those people. It's so yin and yang in me. It's so opposite. Like, weed does not work with my body, fucking period. Like, I'm all about, it's one of the first issues I was extremely passionate about was human beings being able to put what they want in their own bodies and stuff like that. So, I've always been passionate about the weed thing, but I think sometimes it gets a little overrated, a little played out. Like now it's the cure and blah, blah, blah. It was one of the, like I said, when I was 18, I really got into it, and I still am. And, there really is 100 things that cure cancer naturally. It's just not that simple. It's all based around things that strengthen the immune system. But I know firsthand, there's always that thing like, there's always that myth of like somebody getting cured and they go back to the doctor and the doctor's like, oh, it doesn't make sense. It does. But no, it happens every day, actually. Reno and Nevada in particular.
Your body is always trying to get rid of the cancer.
Sure. Oh, Nevada.
Sometimes it does, but...
Yeah. Nevada, for example, has a lot of loopholes in the laws that allow a lot of these alternative medicine doctors, these anti-cancer doctors, to work there and to do pretty much give 100% towards curing cancer and whatnot. They're extremely successful, and I know a lot of these doctors firsthand, and I've known many people firsthand to be cured from cancer naturally using these various methods. And anywho, but now people, weed's the cure for cancer. I wouldn't go that far. There's probably about 30 things that cure cancer naturally, and it's not that simple. I definitely recommend
like not eating sugar.
Well, one is the whole acid alkaline thing's a big one. There's a whole bunch of things. There's even magnetic therapy that I know people have even been cured using that. There's things as far as your various antioxidants, shark cartilage. There's so many, germanium, laetrile, B17. All these things have strong things. Everything in conventional medicine, it's the most sadistic thing. When the cancer industry is an industry and it's sadistic, it's really fucked up. Everything that the government does in these pharmaceutical companies, it's really sad. I took care of a kid that had cancer for a while, was in his, teens at the time. And I spent some time at the Ronald McDonald House with a lot of kids, and they were on their like third remission, and this time it's in their spine, and these kids are just like, fucking let me die at this point. They just wanted to die, and and the whole system it's based on money, and all these treatments. You could easily argue that chemotherapy and radiation kills more people than cancer does, and without a doubt. And it's so funny because anytime an alternative therapy doesn't work, the doctor gets its license revoked or somehow, gets its license pulled. But meanwhile, you could argue that chemotherapy and radiation kills all these people. But
it does.
It's, and I think it does too. And
they're not revoking the medical bullshit of the people that are doing that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. All right. So, do you think it's a fad?
What's this?
The weed.
Oh no! In the same breath, actually, the kid who I helped take care of, and like I said, for a couple
weed
years,
cured?
No, he is a big weed smoker, and it's a very good kid, man. Good kid. But he actually weed, and I was a very big advocate of getting him weed during the time, and he did smoke it because it was a matter of keeping his appetite. He had a feeding. He had a feeding tube.
You were doing this on the side?
No, I was dating a gal, and her son had cancer, and we went down to. What's the place in California, the yuppie place? Anywho, I can't even think. It's the big. Anywho, it's a place where. Fuck, what the hell is it called? I'm like brain farting. Anyways,
Encino?
No, we're taking him down there for. But anyways, weed as far as it kept us at it because he had a feeding tube.
Tijuana.
No. God damn.
Mexicali.
Is it important? Go.
No, it's a very wealthy area in California. It's like the most wealthy area, and it's where a lot of doctors.
So you got someone
Orange
else's
County.
drug prescription for this kid?
Yeah. Anyway, so we were like, I was a big advocate of getting weed. He had a feeding tube in him. He wasn't eating. And he turned all altruistic and shit, all skinny. He was a big kid prior to this. He probably weighed like. He was a football player, weighed 180 pounds, and after this he looked like he just got out of Auschwitz. He's like 120 pounds and shit. So we were trying to get food in him. We're like shoving the feeding tube in him, like plugging shit in him every night. We're like, smoke weed, motherfucker, like just kind of like, and, he was a big weed smoker, and of all things, he has nasopharyngeal carcinoma of the epithelioma. So he had like some nasopharyngeal cancer. He had big lumps in his throat, stage 4. But yeah, he smoked ganj throughout it. And me personally, I think what really saved him, because he's still alive, what saved him is he got addicted to painkillers, and
that saved him.
I think because he was, that's all he was on nonstop. So his brain was in la la land. It wasn't a horrible experience for him. He wasn't like what you would think depressed. He felt perfectly fine. He had a lot of social support, and he actually felt good. And your brain is so important as far as his optimism was very, like I said, he didn't have to go through the lows or the depression. So I think his brain was in the right place. And I think the painkillers had a lot. If it were up to me, he would have used actually alternative methods, but I didn't really step in. And not to mention he was under 18, and no doctor was willing to work on somebody under 18 with alternative methods. So there was legal reasons. So he had to go the conventional route and chemotherapy. And chemotherapy is the real nasty thing. It's radiation. I always thought radiation was the bad part.
So he didn't deal with chemo?
No, he did chemo. Chemo is a horrible, horrible thing.
So what I'm asking, so was the whole marijuana thing under the table?
Oh yeah, it was. It was under the table.
So he's still alive. So do you?
I think marijuana definitely helped him, and he still smokes to this day. And like he had a feeding tube through his. And of all things, you would think that's the last thing you want to do, right? Smoke. But I do think the marijuana thing helped without a doubt. I think sometimes it's overrated because I start hearing people say, "Oh, it's the cure," and like I said, I've already been through this alternative therapies, and there's always like, this is the cure, and there's a lot of things that are really strong anti-cancer agents and whatnot, and it definitely plays a role in that, where I think it is, but it's to say it's a sole cure sometimes just taken a little too far. Marijuana has amazing benefits, and it's a great thing, and it's an amazing cash crop for the government, which is why it's illegal. The government expends so much efforts on keeping
which takes
illegal.
It back. I mean, to the whole legalize, decriminalize, naturalize. I mean, what is the best term? How do you keep it?
Well, decriminalize is
that's why
re-legalize.
Saying that I like re-legalize.
Yeah, but if it's legal, then the government has their paws on it. If it's legal, they can.
It was
they can
legal before the government got their hands on it.
But they hadn't touched everything by then. They were still working on the process of touching everything.
Schindler's List, get it off. Get it off.
We've changed the subject. This is meaningless.
So you're saying that? What the fuck?
This is something that Repture and I can agree with. He's from one side of the ocean, and I'm from the other.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of sun.
Yes. Actually, I don't know. This summer
you missed all the summer. You were in the middle of
this summer was
swamplands there in the south.
What?
Alabama.
You were like sucking your like cousin's dick and shit and all that, right? Your sisters and cousins. Isn't that what you guys do down there?
I have
tell us
no
about
clue.
That sounds like good radio right there.
No clue what the fuck you guys are talking about.
He was only there for a couple of years. When he was 2, he moved to Oklahoma, and then when you were 4, you moved to Minnesota. Tell us your migration period, because you move every 2 years. Tell us more, Sarah. Tell us more.
Fuck you.
Like a bird.
No, so let me ask you a question.
Go ahead, man.
Mr. Conan. Before something is deemed to be illegal by a government, what word would you use to describe the legality of that thing?
That's what I'm saying. I've grown up in a time and age when there is nothing that is not regulated except my own.
Internet currently is not regulated.
No, but I'm thinking my own functioning. So you can't control me breathing. It's natural. You can't control my heart rate. That's natural. Right now, the internet is still in the natural progressive state where it's still being it's technology,
Okay,
and so it's
so-
still that's why I go back to naturalize.
Let me rephrase the question and not ask of what term would you prefer to be used, but based on the legal wording of things, what is the term, the legal term, meaning through the legal or judicial system,
Using
what
their words,
term
legal,
would
legalize.
you use to describe something that is not regulated by a government?
Legal.
Okay, then.
All right. But I'm not trying to use their statements and their terms and their definitions. I'm
Right.
trying to go back. Here I am trying to create a new word, just like, in the next 10 years, we're going to have to create a new term to describe ourselves because they keep running our fucking names through the mud. And right now, it's the same thing. Legal doesn't work for me anymore, but natural does.
Right, but how many people are going to know
understand that?
what you're talking about?
I'm going to have to describe it to them exactly the same way.
That's why I like using terms that people know definitions to.
I like to describe myself as an anarchist, but I can't because it's been run through the mud. And
But
they think of Mohawks and goddamn, they don't know voluntarist either.
No, people don't know that. But
So
at least you could at least they'll listen because they don't have a
Because then it sounds cushy.
They don't have a preconception of what it is, so at least I'll hear it out. So
So maybe I just need to start working on naturalism.
I do like. I mean,
that's a new term.
Outside of that term or what you were just talking about, I do like. I do like that term nature. I use it for a lot of things.
And it is a cushy term. It sounds good. It sounds like
it's the only thing.
Sounds like I'm a tree hugger or something.
It's sort of like the natural thing. It's the only way I could define certain terms. Is it's just like natural human emotions, or same thing when you're trying to talk about incentives. What drive human nature? Just it's natural.
Yeah.
Natural incentives of what. I don't know, economics, natural economics.
It's just like the whole heartbeat thing, the whole air breathing thing. I want to take it back to its natural Adam and Eve fucking Garden of Eden state, which is natural.
See, you just used the word state. There was no state in the Garden of Eden.
Wow, natural state. How do you like that? So now I have to say, natural being. Natural.
That's one of the problems with the English language. Is that there are so many words that sound the same that have multiple definitions.
That's the problem with Genesis is, aside from Sissa Sudia, Eve just done fucked it up for everybody.
So, I mean, how many words are in the English vocabulary? So, I mean,
thousands.
I know, yeah, exactly. And so in order for every word to have its own personal meaning, we would have to duplicate it by times 10, times 50 maybe, because a lot of words have at least two meanings, sometimes 3, 4.
Yeah.
So that would be complicated.
Oh yeah, and now with like government,
I like the fact,
And then
but
everybody wants to define, especially among people that might classify themselves as anarchist or voluntarist. They want to define the word their own way.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh yes. You send your child to day prison. Day prison means school.
Or cage. When anyone's jailed, they're caged.
Well, that's a literal
held by
term.
Captors, or they are, and then held for ransom.
Well, I mean, I like cage. I mean, because that is a literal term. Because it's kind of like jail. It just doesn't really. It's kind of whatever you put the meaning. But literally, you are in a cage, right? So it's kind of I do like
And
cage.
held for ransom.
Just tell people
or
what
your
it is.
Or your vehicle is held for ransom.
Yeah,
or
no
something.
need to sugarcoat it. Like it is. You are caged. I mean, you are. Yeah, yeah. So
exactly.
Yeah, I'm just saying that people, especially among a certain ideology of thinking, want to define every word their own way.
Uh-huh.
And then they get mad when you say, I don't know what you're saying because you're using words in a way that I'm not familiar with. And I had a conversation with somebody one day. I said, okay, since you want to redefine every word that you just said in your sentence, I'm going to start calling a couch a table and the table a chicken. And then I'm going to describe things in the room and see if you have any fucking clue what I'm talking about.
I'm choking my
I can't hear you.
Daryl, where are we at?
But oh yeah, that name I was thinking about earlier, Palo Alto. Anywho,
Huh?
that was Palo Alto was the word I was thinking of. That Foofy, California word I was thinking of.
That's a city.
That was the
county,
area.
or
That was the big area where
it's
like
a
a lot
city.
of people go for cancer treatments and stuff. But it's kind of like the Foofy rich doctor area. Like almost
It's
everyone
just
in that town's a
outside of
doctor.
LA.
Yeah, Palo Alto. That was the word. Anywho,
You said rich people. Yeah.
yeah,
Those
Palo
fucking-
Alto is a very
Those
rich
horrible
area.
people. They're just ruining it for all the rest of
The
us.
1%, those assholes.
And they vote too.
So
Yep. Yeah, I mean, yep. I'm not, yeah, that whole voting thing, yeah, man, that's kind of like, I guess that's sort of, I mean, your guys' shtick. I mean,
Wait,
you
don't
guys
ask
are.
it. I'm sorry. What? You're
No.
not going to ask what we learned tonight. We're done?
No.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was going to ask if we were going to talk about one of the cop killer stories.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh,
we
yeah.
got a bunch of cop killer stories on.
Shazam.
And it really surprises me because we see these things. We see new cop killer stories every fucking day. I mean, it seems like there's a new one every single day, but you never hear these things or watch these things on, the big media stations. I mean,
One of them, the story is on CNN, I think.
For real? Or is that the one where the cop is actually dealt with afterwards? Because a lot of these guys get off.
Yeah, the one where the cop is dealt with is on CNN.
How do you like that? Because most of these guys, they get time vacation where they sit a couple of months until the judge decides that no, he was
Good Boys Network.
it
He's
was
good.
it was quite all right that he made the decision that he did and defended himself from this fucking family dog that was charging him, and he decided to
Oh, you mean the dog that was running over towards its owner after the owner was tased multiple times?
You've got that one. You've got the one where the guys were actually going to the household to report that the son had been shot. They were going to report the homicide, and the German Shepherd charged them, or not even charged him, just fucking came out in the yard and looked at him. and
Because
barked at
that's
him.
what dogs do.
That's what they do. I mean, even this guy, he's a little guy. Even he has his one warning bark. But, I mean, good God, I mean, you're hearing about this shit all the fucking time. So now it's gone from dogs, and now you've got people just walking down the highway who resemble someone who might have been breaking and entering, and he's recovering from a car accident.
And the supposed breaking and entering was him knocking on somebody's door and ringing their doorbell to try to get help. And
I mean, who
the
the
lady freaked out and called 911 and said some guy's trying to break into my
These
house.
are the guys making decisions for you. There's a reason why that Superior Court judge decided that IQ could not be a reason to prevent cops from being enlisted. Tell us, you're more familiar with that story than I am. Are you?
No.
The court case where the one individual who was looking for police employment was not allowed because his IQ was too high.
Right, I remember that.
So he took it to court, and they decided that nope, that's not reason. The police departments can decide that your IQ is too high, and they can go for the lower IQ every
because
time.
smarter people will question orders.
Sure.
Exactly.
All right.
They've had
so
that in place for a long time.
This story here, there's a video. I've not seen the video yet. It's from CNN, so...
Gunshots startle neighbors in the early morning hours of Saturday. Sounds of sirens follow minutes later.
I never see anything like this go down. I mean, this is a very good neighborhood. To hear that happen, I don't know, this is crazy.
Help can't get here fast enough. 24-year-old John Farrell is dead, shot multiple times. Police say it all started after Farrell wrecked his car on Reedy Creek Road. The four-door sedan so mangled, police suspect Farrell had to climb out a back window. They believe he ran to the closest house for help. A woman hears banging on her door, believes it could be her husband.
To her surprise, it was an individual that she did not know or recognize. She immediately closed the door, hit her panic alarm, called 911.
3 officers arrived to find a man matching the description given by the woman to 911.
As the officers approach him just to determine if in fact he is the individual, what's going on, he just immediately takes off and runs toward a particular officer, and that officer attempted to retreat, but at the same time fired his weapon.
Tonight, friends and family of Farrell's ask for privacy and prayers, taking to social media expressing shock and sadness, calling Farrell a happy and goofy guy. Farrell, a former football player at Florida A&M, remembered in this photo by a friend who says he's known Farrell since the two were just kids.
Our heart go out to the Farrell family quite naturally, as well as the many members of the CMPD family. This is never something easy.
Officer Randall Carrick turned himself in Saturday and is charged with voluntary manslaughter. The 2 other officers on the scene have been placed on paid leave.
Which is almost unheard of. These guys usually get paid vacation until the judge decides what to do with them. This must have been just it must have been a white officer on a black man. That's all I can say.
I don't know what skin tone the officer was, but what was left out of the news report but is in the news story, one of the officers pulled out a taser and attempted to tase the guy, and when he did not fall over immediately because, adrenaline rushing.
So-called. Yeah, he didn't fall over immediately.
Or maybe his
other
body just
officer,
wasn't yeah.
Or so-called. Yeah, right. That's what they're going to say, right? That's their police report.
Right. Well, the 2 other officers, gave matching stories of, this guy tased him, he didn't fall down.
Sure.
And so the 3rd officer, which is the one that is charged with voluntary manslaughter, pulled out his gun and started firing shots. Didn't pull out his taser, didn't pull out his baton, pulled out his fucking gun and started firing shots.
And that's what I mean.
Because the guy, they've got this fucking shoot first, ask questions later mentality to where after they killed the guy, they realized, oh, there's a wrecked car 100 yards up the road. Let's go see if anybody's stuck in the car. And they see the back window kicked out.
And you see this on a daily basis with the dogs.
So
with the dog shootings. So they just moved up. They've notched it up.
They hypothesized that the guy couldn't get the front door open, so he had to kick out the back window, and then ran to the nearest house he could find, and was trying to get help for the car crash.
I'm a cop, goddammit!
It's fucking horrible. And when you consider that, it's been determined that you don't have to have the high IQ. They can actually fire you or not hire you in the first place because of your high IQ. So what does that leave? This is the same kind of people that are hiring for the military. People who follow orders. Because those are the best types of cops and the best type of military personnel to have, the people who don't question authority and fucking will follow through and fucking do whatever they have to.
Yeah.
And people are all right with this.
So the write-up here from CNN says that a hold on, what is it? A statement was issued Saturday night that says the evidence revealed that Mr. Farrell did advance on Officer Carrick, and the investigation showed that the subsequent shooting of Farrell was excessive. Our investigation has shown that Officer Carrick did not have a lawful right to discharge his weapon during the encounter.
And this is one story that has made it to the main media.
Yes.
And it just happens to be the one, like you said, that the cop actually has, the courts actually have grounds to put this man away.
Yeah.
But
And
most of the time, these
I
cops
cover
are
stuff
fucking
like this every week when I do the police
fucking
accountability
week,
report.
every fucking week. It's unbelievable how many
But
times this is happening.
The thing is, it's so difficult for the person that writes the police accountability report for me to limit it to 2 stories.
To 5 minutes. I know,
yeah,
exactly.
There's enough time for 2 stories.
Yep.
So trying to limit to 2 stories.
Rapture, tell us, man.
Oh no, there's so much of this going on everywhere. And the funny thing, to a cop's defense, if anything, of all things, is that they are creating the police force by design to be this way at Militant. I mean, from the ground up. I mean, I've had. Of all things, I've had friends that have, did criminal justice and whatnot, and they've become cops and whatnot. And, a lot of these people...
Pete Eyre was going to be a cop.
Sure, exactly. And a lot of people go on with good intentions. And unfortunately, when they get in, and it kind of trickles down, they create them to be kind of like the cops here. It's kind of like, oh, you can't touch a cop. It's kind of like, oh, that's grounds for just being shot. Like, I can't be touched. Like, whereas you would think like a cop... they should have the mentality, like a cop should have the mentality, like you're going to take a punch from time to time. You're going to take a punch. Yeah,
or a firefighter.
And to me,
there are people, there are citizens that we live with that could be my neighbors.
Sure.
And they have these special rights.
There's
Why
no
are you
such thing
fucking
as a
special?
citizen.
Yeah.
They're people. They are members of my society. Members of my community who have these special rights. I mean, what the fuck? You get paid to be. It's like the parking enforcement. In the clause, in the description, your job description, it says that you will have to put up with
verbal harassment.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, you can't handle this job.
Sure.
And they don't mean all the time.
And it's the same thing with a cop. And a cop should be paid extra for having to deal with fucking gangsters and fucking drunk people.
And even that, I mean, that
all
is
kinds of nonsense. If you can't fucking handle that, then you shouldn't be a cop.
And that's their job, man. I mean, they should be able to. It should be almost like football, kind of like if you fall, you like lay down like a little bitch after a hit. It's like, get up, motherfucker. Like it should be really frowned down upon other members within the police force, but it's really not. It's incentivized to be this way, to where it's encouraged, like, how dare you touch a cop? And it's kind of like incentivized to mace somebody and ask questions later. It's kind of like if you mace somebody or pepper spray or whatever, at that point it makes the whole police report easier. At that point the person's guilty. If you mace somebody or pepper spray and whatever, at that point that person has a hard defense against you if you had to mace him.
But
and it's like they use it, and it's easy to at that point handcuff them and whatnot. But to me, like macing and tasing is like the extreme. Like somebody needs to be the most violent of motherfuckers to ever get to that pepper spray can
to be shot.
Oh yeah,
to be fucking. How fucking horrible do you have to be? I mean, we had a bull on the property who almost killed me, who fucking was ramming fences, was doing all kinds of damage. We didn't fucking shoot him immediately. We tried to work with him. It took a couple of months before he was an investment. Guess who are not investments? People who object authority and they fucking get in your face. Those people aren't good taxpayers.
Sure.
Those aren't good serfs.
We don't even know if this guy didn't like authority. He was trying to get help because he wrecked his fucking car.
There's no telling. These people don't even think anymore. But they don't
cops,
think.
I need you. I wrecked my car. Of course he's going to run towards the fucking cop car.
He might have had blood on his hands, and that's all that took.
Sure.
His own blood on his
description.
hands.
If it was a true marketplace,
you match the description.
Other officers would laugh.
And he was black.
Sure. Other officers should laugh at another officer for having to use a taser. It's like, oh my God, you had to use a taser to subdue somebody? Oh my God, what a bitch. Like, it would be, you're the bottom of the pack. Like, you're no promotions for you. Like,
what gets me is when you hear the stories of cops tase 12-year-old girl. Really? You can't fucking handle a 12-year-old fucking girl? You pansy motherfucker.
And what it boils down,
put your fucking diaper back on.
Or a retard.
Sure.
And those fuckers are strong, man.
Yeah. And what it boils down
They
to,
are strong.
What it boils down to,
That's some strong individuals, man.
it's street justice is all it is. Because what it boils down to, it's where was I going with that? I mean, that's exactly all it is. They're just getting their rocks off on torturing people that don't obey their authority. That's all tasing is about, or anything. It's just about getting their rocks off in street. And they're professionals. That's the thing. They should be professionals in their job. Like, they should be psychological experts as far as handling any type of threat towards them. They should be like immune to anybody like saying "fuck you, pig" or punching them. They should laugh it off and be like, okay, you know, like somebody pops them in the face, laugh it, because they're professionals, right? They deal with this on a day-on basis. They should be able to deal with it better than anybody.
If police enforcement, if protection services were a private industry, they would all be Clint Eastwoods.
Oh, sure. They should laugh it off.
They would have to make that decision, and they would have to laugh off all the bullshit.
Sure. And that they're professionals. They should be experts and be able to
so
laugh.
much of it.
Somebody
so
punches
much of it
them,
is bullshit.
They should laugh it off. If somebody pops them, they should laugh them by be like, okay, and twist their arm and put the handcuffs on. You know, like, I mean, they're experts. They deal with this on a day and but no, they're little bitches. Like, they're so fragile. It's like, oh my God, you know, somebody brushed my shoulder. I had to tase him, shoot him. You know, it's kind of like, you know, like, I mean, that shit should really be frowned. But it's being created.
It's become one more outlet. I mean, we can't all be politicians. Sometimes we have to go on law enforcement, and that's a way. That's a way for me to deliver all this energy that I have, all this hate for my own human beings.
Sure. And it's trickled down to the cops' defense. It is trickled. It's designed that way, and they're designed to be that way.
Yeah,
it is created.
They are
created. They are created.
Could it be some officers, some police forces are actually taking their wounded animals, their crippled, disabled animals, and they're fucking taking them to the firing range to do the dirty business, to fucking put them out of their misery? The fuck is that all about? We have a fucking article here. There's a Calais precinct.
Yeah, pull that.
There's a fucking Calais precinct, and they don't fucking take their animals to the vet to have the little euthanization shot. They fucking take him to the goddamn firing range. They take him to the goddamn shooting range. And, I mean, what is the fucking world coming to?
And what I have to say to that is, wow, at least these cops are taking them to the fire range. Usually they normally just shoot them and just right in public in front of the kids. Like, they're at least grabbing these ones and killing. And I'm like this total animal rights activist type of guy. So, but yeah, I mean, they're taking these animals and at least bringing them to shoot and then using them as like skeet practice. Like, there goes Fido. And you know they're getting off on this shit.
Might be where they're getting their training. So they take them to the shooting range. They shoot them up.
Oh, and they're
target practice, and then when they're on the job, they see a dog and red light, green light goes
Without
on.
a doubt.
And fucking, all right, I need to shoot this thing. I need to shoot this
dog! I saw dog.
It barked at me.
I saw dog at shooting range. I see dog now. Shooting range. I shoot at shooting range. Shoot gun.
And in theory,
I use gun now.
Yeah, fucking Quest for Fire.
I use gun now.
Fucking caveman.
Their theory.
Well, whatever happened to Andy? Can I get another bullet? The one fell out of my pocket when I washed my shirt.
Can we talk about this before we make a decision? Can we have a little sit down? We need to fix this before we fucking take you before the judge. No, I'm gonna fucking shoot you. What the fuck? Watch this. I mean, this is fucking horrible right here.
Meow. In California, it is legal for police officers to shoot and kill injured cats and dogs in the streets. And that is exactly what happened in one local city. Tonight, new at 6, Ron Jones reports on how police in that city take injured animals to the shooting range to be killed.
Well, this is nothing new. This penal code has been on the books for decades. And some officers say it's the most humane thing you can do, while others are saying it's barbaric.
Officers use deadly force to save the lives of others. But what about shooting severely injured dogs or cats found on the street? According to a California penal code, it's an officer's discretion. It says in part, any officer may, with the approval of his or her immediate supervisor, humanely destroy any abandoned animal in the field in any case where the animal is too severely injured to move or where a veterinarian is not available and it would be more humane to dispose of the animal.
No one wants to see an animal lose its life, but if death is inevitable and it's just being prolonged.
Sergeant Jason Ramos says Sacramento County doesn't have a specific policy for shooting injured animals, but his agency understands why an officer may be forced to.
You know, sometimes in the middle of the night you don't have a vet available, you might be in an extremely rural area. Quite honestly, taking the animal's life might be the most humane thing to do under those circumstances.
Policies vary across the state.
Hours,
Sacramento City officers are not allowed to shoot injured animals. Oakland Police changed its policy after the controversial shooting of a deer in someone's backyard. And the Merced Sun-Star reports Merced police take injured animals to the range and kill them there.
That sounds so archaic to me. What a crazy way of thinking, especially now with all these rescue organizations. There we go. Good girl.
Dr. Jill Rubin believes law enforcement agencies that still shoot injured animals should consider creating an alliance with rescue groups.
All those organizations really need to come together. There needs to be something finite so that way if an animal is injured, we just don't take it out on the range and shoot it.
Most veterinarians that we spoke with today say that if you do encounter a severely injured animal, it's best not to approach it. Call animal control or law enforcement.
Many police agencies call animal control to evaluate severely injured animals.
Is it one of the first things that psychopaths do? Is they take injured animals or just captured animals, they take them to their house, take them to their backyard, and they fucking kill them.
Yeah. So I was listening to that, and Officer Jackass said, well, sometimes it's the middle of the night and there's not a vet that's available. You can't wait 6 to 8 fucking hours?
When is the firing range open? Usually those things are hourly. You can't just fucking take them in the middle of the night. You have to take them during daylight hours. So what are they doing? Where are these animals? Where are they at? So they take them and they... And that's that's the next question. Yeah, exactly. This article, this video didn't go into details on how they are actually getting rid of the animals.
Yeah.
Are they just take him to the firing range and then shoot him in the back of the head? Or are they fucking? Are they setting them up as target
They're
practice?
probably putting them on like skeets and shooting them in the air and be like, yeah, motherfuckers. Like they're probably like, it's like a sporting event.
I mean, no
we
shit.
got one.
Yeah, putting them on the discus and they're firing them out.
I'm sure it's a big sport, fun event. I'm sure.
Hell, the fucking picture here shows a cat sitting on the top of a post. Maybe they take the cat, drive a nail through his leg, hang him to a post, and then you sit there and shoot him while he flops around.
All I know is that growing up on a farm, I've put animals down, and it is painful.
Yes.
It is fucking painful.
For somebody that likes animals.
To this day, I mean, it's almost hard for my eyes not to start watering up. I mean, it is. I feel it in my gut to think that this is going on and that you have vets, right there in the city who their services are readily available. It's not like they're overwhelmed with service or something. And so you have motherfuckers going and shooting their guns
as
into
much as I don't like your dog, I would never shoot him.
I would hope not.
Nor would I ever take him to a fucking firing range.
You would shoot
to
him.
Do it.
He wouldn't be a very tasty dog. He's too lean for even one to eat.
Tastes like chicken.
Yeah,
no, he wouldn't.
That
he
and
would
I
taste
have
like,
the policy.
he would taste like possum, probably.
Eat what I kill. So,
but yeah,
there's not a lot of meat on your dog.
These cops are. They're doing this for fun. I mean, it's one of those things where how common is it to come across? Oh, there's the wounded animal about to die. Like, this isn't like something overly common. So, obviously, this is just another slippery slope of where it's kind of like, well, at least they're taking him to the fire range and killing him. Like, normally they just shoot him, right? Like, there's about 5 stories every day that comes out.
The gas chamber.
They're just shooting animals. Where they're just shooting animals like in front of the kids and family, like they SWAT team a house and shoot the animals first thing.
Well,
like
the first
it's part of their protocol.
Do you know why they shoot the dogs first?
Because they despise them because they probably have a bad experience of it sometime within the.
No, They're trying to
scare?
invoke a response.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're right. You're right. A
Because
terror.
one thing that criminals will do if they suspect that someone might be home when they're breaking in, they will yell police to scare people. The cops, when they do these no-knock raids,
why would it fucking
yell police?
Okay. So when they shoot these
That
dogs,
makes
what
sense.
happens?
They shoot the dog trying to invoke a response from the homeowner. They want the guy to shoot back so that they can then use lethal force against everybody in the house.
So if they thought that they were breaking down a criminal's door, they want that to happen so they don't have to deal with all the paperwork. They can
Right.
just shoot the guy.
Yes.
Very curious.
And
very curious.
There was a story, I forget where it was,
I don't
where
know. But I shouldn't
somebody...
have even gone there.
You went there.
I did.
Finish it up.
And I'm going to keep going there. There was a guy that thought that his home was being broken into by criminals because he'd heard the stories of criminals breaking in and yelling police to try to get people to comply, because you're not supposed to, fight the cops. Well,
good guys.
somebody breaks in, yells police, he opens fire. Turned out to actually be the police raiding the wrong house.
Did he have a defense?
He's in jail.
Oh man. But isn't that typical?
Yes.
So you don't trust the news agencies that deliver this information to you, and fucking you don't support your police and your teachers and your firefighters, and you fucking fire on them. Any of those guys, you just fired on.
Yeah.
The
Even if it's 3:00 in the morning
The
and you
immortals.
reasonably believe that it's a criminal, doesn't matter.
I wonder what would happen to this lady who maybe the guy knocked on her door thinking it was her husband, and she ended up shooting that guy. I wonder if this would be the same story if we even be talking about it right now.
North Carolina, I believe one can use deadly force if they are reasonably afraid for their life.
Mhm.
And especially since she was in her house.
I thought the castle doctrine was pretty much everywhere. Which cities and states are they not? Is it not allowed?
Northern California would be that way, but
No,
not Northern
Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah, it's most definitely there.
Pennsylvania has a duty to retreat law. Even if you are in your house, you must attempt to flee your house before you are able to defend yourself on your own property.
That's just silly
Wow.
talk. That's just fucking silly talk.
Yeah. But
sounds like
Rapture,
a
you were
police.
saying about cops just randomly killing animals in front of families. There's a story out of Canada, our neighbors to the north, some town named Chelsea in Quebec.
You mean like a Clinton?
No, Chelsea, Quebec. A Chelsea, Quebec man says he was trying to help an injured deer before a run-in with the local police officer, left the animal dead, and his truck impounded. Greg
Wow.
Searle was driving on Route 105 and near home when he saw a young deer on the road, seemingly unable to use its hind legs. He said, the woman in front of me had hit it, and so I carried it off the road. It was kind of kicking and still alive. He called his wife, Samantha Byron, who arrived with their 6-year-old daughter, Ashla. They were on their cell phones trying to contact a vet when a police officer arrived on the scene and said the animal had to be put down. An argument ensued, Searle said, and when Byron refused to get out of the way to let the officer shoot the deer, he threatened to arrest her. She left with Ashla. Am I reading that right? Is that Ashia? The daughter. The wife and the daughter left, and the policeman killed the animal. Searle says on his way home, the same officer pulled him over for having an expired license plate sticker and impounded the vehicle. Yeah, sure, that's the law, but I was actually on a country road a couple 100 meters from my house, and he could have just let me park it and go get a new sticker for the plate. I kind of felt that it was a bit vengeful of him, perhaps even though it was legal. The MRC, which I'm not sure what that means.
It's a Canadian thing.
The MRC... Police did not return phone calls on Thursday. In an interview with the Lowdown to Hull and Back, the force's spokesman, Martin Fornell, said the officer could not legally allow Searle and Byron to drive off with the animal. Fornell told the paper, police are empowered to end an animal's suffering, and the constable made a judgment call. Fornell also told the Lowdown the impounding of Searle's vehicle was simply the officer doing his job.
And as far as all this is concerned,
just doing my job, ma'am.
That's where I have a problem right there.
Just doing my job.
It's the whole doing your job thing. Now, the ending
just
the
doing my
suffering
job.
of
Just
an
doing my
animal.
job.
Like I said, I've grown up in many circumstances where the animal is going to die.
Sure.
The animal has a sickness, or the animal has been trampled by a bigger animal, or it's been hit by a vehicle. And there are times when you know that the animal is not going to survive, or that the payments to fix that animal is just not available to you.
Just doing my job.
Yep.
So killing the animal, I don't know how badly damaged this deer was. I know that I've eaten plenty of roadkill deer in my lifetime. I love roadkill deer because that's one hunting permit that I don't have to worry about.
My guess is in Chelsea, Quebec, they are probably not eating roadkill deer.
Yeah. Well, they probably are in Canada. Supposedly, there's supposed to be a lot of deer here. I haven't seen any, but that's not what I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with the officer shooting the animal.
I'm with you on that.
Because I might have made that same decision. What I have a problem with is giving the goddamn man a fucking ticket for having an unlicensed vehicle.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, man.
So fuck him for that.
Registration was expired by 1 day.
Yeah, it was,
even worse.
Yeah. 1 day.
I mean, if you're driving around like you and you're not even.
Yeah.
I mean, you can.
I've got an issue with the cop deciding to kill the deer because you had somebody that was offering to take the deer to a vet to see if the deer could be saved.
Sure. Absolutely. Free market. If you want to fucking take that deer, go right ahead. Now, for example, all right. Let's look at it a different way, though. All right. Say that you could feel that deer is suffering, and you looked at that deer, and you looked at its arrangement of its bone structure and whatnot, and there's just no way that deer is ever going to live again, and you know that deer is in fucking pain. Would you allow that person to take that deer and keep that deer alive for another 12, 24 hours and suffer, and you knew that it would not be able to... I mean, say maybe you went maybe not only were you in cop school, but you had some medical training as well, and you knew that fucking deer would not survive. What would you do then?
I would try to use persuasive arguments.
That's exactly.
Not pull out my fucking pistol and shoot the deer in the fucking head.
Maybe he
did. That's exactly.
Maybe that's not in the article. Maybe he did try to persuade the driver that this is
all
not
it
going to live.
says is they got into an argument.
Yeah, this is a situation where I'm like exactly what you. I agree with both of you guys on this. It's exactly. I mean, that would be the route to take. You try to persuade them because this is a situation where I'm like, I don't like to see an animal suffer, and I'm somebody who's a big animal person, and I would want to put the animal out of its misery if it was suffering. It looked like, and if I was the cop, I would try to reason with the people. If not, but obviously what the cop did beyond that,
you just said cop and be reasonable in the same sentence.
Yeah, I know. But Canadian
That's
cops
totally opposite of fucking logic.
I know it is, but Canadian cops are not as militaristic, generally speaking, as US cops.
That's why he gave the guy a ticket and stole his car.
That's where I'm getting.
The fucking day after the fucking.
That's what I'm getting. That was some police justice.
To freedom of speech
that
issues.
was like some police. That was some police justice there.
That's the cop being a dickhead.
Yeah, sure. The cop.
If I had to hypothesize what I think happened on the side of the road, the guy said, "Yeah, I want to take this deer to go see if it, might be able to survive." The cop probably said, "You can't do that." Why not? Because I fucking said so, you son of a bitch.
He said it in a southern accent.
Yeah.
I want to take the deer. You can't do that, hoser. You son of a bitch. There's a law that says you can't. Well, why does the law say that? Because I fucking said so. I'm going to kill the deer now, you son of a bitch.
Is that what he said?
No, he's just
That's
theorizing.
my hypothesization.
It's quite possible this guy was a very reasonable cop, and he was.
I don't think it's.
And he was
fucking quite possible that anybody is a very reasonable cop.
I think that people who generally join up with cophood are people who are looking for another power outlet. I think they're looking for another outlet to express themselves.
Right, and that does not fit with very reasonable.
And if they couldn't be cops, they'd be the guys that end up cutting you up and eating you and putting you there in the freezer and stuff. If Dahmer had never gone the way that he had gone, he probably would end up as a cop. What do you think about that?
And a very good cop.
Exactly. He probably, because he understands the criminal mind and whatnot, because he's a fucking criminal.
Yeah.
Because these guys are all goddamn criminals.
Tastes like chicken.
All right, Conan. It's your
Uh-huh.
favorite part of the show. What did you learn tonight?
Fuck you. Well, we've talked about a good little bit of stories. this
Dear.
month. Good little bit of stories. Fuck. Why do you do this to me, man? This is so hard.
Should I ask this guy first?
Have you learned anything tonight?
I
No,
guess
not have
I
you
may.
learned anything tonight. What did you learn tonight?
I don't know if I learned much. I could go off on a tangent if you like. I don't know. Okay, I'll go off my
Tangent,
tangent. Okay, my tangent's just a random tangent. I don't know. Maybe we could
Is
speak
this
off of
about
this.
something you learned tonight?
Wait. A contangent?
A tangent.
Is that a new word?
I don't know. A tangent. I guess sure. Why
All
not?
right, we learned two new words tonight: naturalism, or naturalize, and contangent.
Yeah. One thing
Exactly.
we learned about tonight, I guess you could say, is just how a lot of times people like. I'm going to stretch this as far as I can, but yeah, a lot of times people say, oh yeah, government, they can't do anything right, blah, blah, blah. But what I learned tonight, maybe, possibly, but government can't do anything right? Yeah, they can't do anything right in the public sector, right? Because they aren't incentivized to do anything right in the public. So they're going to fail, but they have a self-incentive to be highly effective in anything that motivates them. So I think the government is highly effective towards what they want, which is why I believe in a lot of the so-called conspiracy theories of current events. I doubt almost everything I read in the paper because I think the government is highly effective and they're highly conspiratorial and they have unlimited ends and means. And at the end of the day, they're incentivized to that. All you have to do is look at, say, a business model, for instance. A business will lay a plan for like 20 years. They'll put themselves in debt for the notion that they could become profitable in 20 years. Now, all you have to do is look at government and their incentives. They're going to be that same strategy as far as like putting the stones in place. Government is effective towards themselves. They have an incentive to be effective. That's why I believe so many of the so-called conspiracies that come out, like, of course, the Boston hoax and the
Connecticut shooting.
Yeah, and the Sandy Hook hoax and like the Colorado hoax. I mean, these are like I said, I'm not a big conspiracy guy by any means, but I mean, it was so blatant. I mean, it's like something right now the government is coming out. It's like something out of 1984, and I think it's so important to talk about because the only reason, because I feel very vulnerable if people don't see through this. Like I want my friends to be able to see through this only because it's. At the end of the day, I mean, I could be, all the government has to do is be like, oh yeah, Jason went ape shit today. He went and shot,
And
five,
he shot
create
some
this,
teachers.
create these
He shot
crazy
some-
stories. And I want my friends to vouch for me and say, Jason wouldn't fucking do that. Like I don't want them to believe the official story in the news. So the more I see people believing these things, like the Boston thing, I want to get the fuck out. I want to move out of the country. Like I'm this close because,
Or
I
at,
feel
least,
vulnerable.
or at least be in a community
Yeah, and
where
there's
we all
this-
know each other and you have people who back you up.
Yeah, there's this exactly, and there's this thing right now in the liberty community. It's mixed. I was actually more optimistic in this Massachusetts thing because very few people bought it. Almost everybody saw through and like, oh my God, this is so blatantly obvious the government was involved. So I mean, it made me feel a lot better, but I do feel very vulnerable. I want people to see through this, and it's crazy. I mean, what the government's doing now, it is something like straight out of 1984. It's like, as far as media and and it sounds so far-fetched what they're doing.
People slurp it up and they don't even question it.
Yeah, like with that, like I said, with the various, when you look at the Boston, it's like the government's taking this weird route where they're, and it sounds far-fetched, but where, they're blatantly, I'm a big believer, I have to see something to believe it, but when I see things and I see these so-called eyewitnesses and stuff where they're, and I've always had this gift ever since I've been a kid. It's one of the few gifts I have as far as psychology.
Question authority.
Everything. I question everything. And I've always had a gift towards psychology. Like, how would human beings normally act to a situation like this? And I see people acting on camera like so-called people that lost their siblings, like in Sandy Hook and stuff. And every single one is faking tears. Not one person is crying out of 8 families and it's the day after. I would be devastated. My eyes would be red. I'd be bawling. Not one person. They're all faking tears. And it sounds so far-fetched. I'm like, how would... these people are hiring, the actors, are they really, are these people real? Did they really lose their kids? And like I said, who knows? I don't know, but all I know is what I see. And
I've heard defenders of those actors defend those guys, saying that a loss like that is an up and down experience.
Sure.
So you're going from laughing to a depressed state.
One family.
I've never lost a sibling or a child or whatnot, so I don't know how it really is. But I'm sorry, if someone murdered my daughter, who is right out there, it would be many, many months and probably even years before I would settle down, and I had the motherfucker's head on a plate. And these fuckers never got his head on a plate, as far as what I'm concerned. They got the guy who shot himself, little kid, but then they had people running from the scene that they never got. So, I would never be satisfied. If any of my siblings or my family died in 9/11, man, I would be ripping the roofs off, man. I would never be satisfied until I had revenge.
Yeah, I don't. I guess. I wouldn't necessarily go as far as revenge. Like, say, I feel morbid when I say
satisfaction.
Maybe. I don't maybe I'm very accepting, but even say something like I feel morbid when I say, but 9/11 didn't affect me at all. I went to sleep perfectly that night, and I remember going to my classes and they were talking about, they had these grief councils in there. I'm like,
you were in Nevada when it happened. You weren't here in New England.
No, sure. Obviously, if you've lost somebody, to me, there's so many tragedies that go on in the world. The one thing that can affect me are people who I know and stuff. Anything outside of that, it's ridiculous to be affected, because every day there's about 10 stories that could affect me emotionally to the point of where I wouldn't even wake up and leave the house in the morning. But I'm going to just leave it to my circle of friends and people who I know. And I didn't know anybody in that. And I just saw people acting like little bitches about that. I'm like, Jesus Christ. People don't even know people who died, and people are acting like whiny little bitches. Like, who gives a shit? Like,
let's go burn some Arabs.
Yeah,
up, man.
And all people are like, oh yeah, everybody wanted revenge. And I'm kind of like,
when I say revenge, I speak at it as realistically. I don't want to I want the right revenge. I don't want to fucking just go bomb someone because they're supposedly the bad guys.
Sure.
I want to get down to the bottom of it, and I want to know fair and square who the prime suspect is. And the way that I look at it, I have never suspected the Muslims. Sure. I have never suspected the followers of Allah. I've always suspected, since day fucking one, I suspected the government as having knowledge, at least having knowledge of what really transpired that day.
Oh, no, not only knowledge. They did it.
You gave a nice rant.
They did. It's like...
I like that rant. I like that rant so much that I couldn't even think about my own rant, because
he gave a nice rant. But you didn't answer the fucking question. What did you learn tonight during this show?
I know, but I'm stretching it.
I was satisfied. I thought you did a good job.
Yeah, but
he didn't give a fucking answer.
I'm getting
he
there.
He gave a politician-y answer of say a bunch of fucking words but not answer the question.
He was feeding goddamn masses.
Yes,
the fucking watchers, the viewers.
I'll keep stretching it, but my whole point, I guess maybe it's fun. I don't know. But what I learned tonight. But no, it's so important because I really do feel vulnerable because there's this thing where like the word conspiracy has become a taboo word. Like even
like anarchist,
even
or like
analyze.
libertarian.
To me, I'm a skeptic. I'm a natural born skeptic because I question everything. So anything that comes out in the news, I'm skeptical of. Like right off the bat, I don't trust what I hear in the news.
So you don't believe any of the stories that we talked about tonight?
I'm always skeptical, and I weigh evidence, and I weigh based off of what I know, and I draw my
officer jackass in Canada actually shot a deer.
That's a good point. That's a good point because I don't know the whole story.
If you don't think that Officer Carrick down in Charlotte, North Carolina, actually shot the former football player? You don't think any of that happened?
If you stop spin shit out there for a second, it's a matter of I question. I question what I hear and I draw logical conclusions based on what I know. So now if a cop says...
That's different than saying I don't believe anything that the media says.
Okay, maybe saying an absolute was incorrect. But I generally speak and I analyze what I hear from the media and I use my common sense and what I know of reality to draw my conclusions. So something like that. So if a cop's like, oh yeah... we had to tase the guy, 8 times, and we shot him in the head because he was reaching for his nutsack, and we thought his nutsack was a nuke, or something like. To me, that doesn't add up. So I'm like, they killed a guy, and just like in Keene, where they shot the guy in the back, they're like, oh yeah,
he was driving away from them.
Yeah, simultaneously,
and he got shot in the back of the head.
And they come out with their police report simultaneously as he drove by. They simultaneously shot as he swept by him, and it's kind of like, no, you shot a guy in the back and you made up a fucking story. And it's so funny how mainstream media always says, and even libertarian media has the same flaw where they always say alleged when it comes to a cop, but anything else is always, when it comes to a cop story, it's always a fact, but anybody else, it's always alleged.
They're one of the three. They are the three that
it's
the fucking
not
teachers,
always.
Teachers,
but
firefighters, and police officers.
Even surprisingly, even generally speaking, people will say even allegedly, but to me it's like common sense. It's like, okay, this situation happened this way. To me, I could logically conclude based off of every other instance I know that the cop did this or that, or more than likely they shot the guy in the back, or it was unaccounted for. But so it's not alleged, but it's so funny how when it comes to a police report that becomes fact, and it's kind of like the cops did this, but it's never like the cops allegedly. It's always kind of like, oh yeah. Anywho,
not always.
No, you're right. Not always.
You keep saying always.
Okay. Well sorry.
You keep saying always and never.
That's my mistake.
This one guy who shot the black guy is being criminalized with manslaughter.
Yes.
And we'll have to keep a tab on this because and see where it goes, because it all comes down to, guess what? Good old boy judge.
Courts. Yep.
And he might just decide that he was doing what he could.
Well, seeing as how the guy turned himself in, I would not be surprised at all if he winds up taking a plea deal.
Mm-hmm.
That way, instead of having to go through the process, wouldn't be surprised at all if he takes a plea deal and winds up with some suspended sentence and a bunch of probation.
And he might even get his job back one day. What do you think about that?
He might not only get his job back, he might get a fucking promotion.
Just like the guy who shot the burglar in the back of the head here in Keene.
Yeah. I've actually heard some libertarian / self-proclaimed anarchist assholes defend the shooting of the guy in the back of the head.
Wow.
Defend the cops or defend the burglar?
Defend the cops.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Well, because he robbed a store, and you have a right to use any defense necessary against someone that steals from you, which means that you can delegate that to the police. So therefore, the police, acting on behalf of the property owner, were totally justified in murdering somebody that they believe may have robbed the store.
Exactly. Did they have the stolen material on them? Were they, in fact, the burglars? All these things have to be questioned, and you can't do that on a moment's notice. So those two things right there, if you can't fucking prove those things on a moment's notice, then you can't defend the property rights of the individual who you're protecting. So if they're not fucking in your store, breaking through your skylight and fucking stealing your computers, you can't fucking shoot them. If they're fucking outside fucking half a mile away, You don't fucking know who they are.
Right. So what'd you learn tonight, Conan?
I learned that you can't fucking shoot someone unless you fucking know who they are.
You didn't learn that tonight,
It
bitch.
fucking makes sense.
Yeah.
You
don't
didn't
fucking
learn
know.
that tonight.
I fucking learned that I like this question because I can fucking talk all night long. I can fucking rant you guys to death. And this fucking question drives me insane. It's like, I like to think about what I thought about.
And you had time during homie's 25-minute dissertation on why the fuck Osama bin Laden and Tim Osmond are really the same person.
I like his dissertation. I like his motherfucking...
The Clockwork Elves, all of it, I shouldn't even get into
It's
it.
conspiracy theories.
Because if I'm telling this right now, but to extend on that, it's so important because, and I've even I'm not
Shut up, Rapture.
I'm internally optimistic, but I even told my parents just like an advanced directive or anything. I have one of those as well, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, now you know me, blah blah. I won't engage in violent activity or whatever. But if anything ever happens in the news and it says anything along those lines, just don't believe it. Trust me. That at this point, I see so many. That's why what happened with
Can we cut his mic?
What happened with Mooney?
He's on a roll, man.
No, I'm just saying what happened with Mooney. I didn't know Mooney well one way or the other. I'm just saying I'm not gonna just right off the bat accept the official story. I'm gonna be skeptical until I hear other things. I don't know, and I don't want it to be that easy for the government officials to take over people in the liberty community. All they have to do is just do some crazy, I guess, event or something, or off somebody and say they did this or that, or they attacked them. I don't know.
Never existed. Mooney didn't kill himself. Mooney
Yeah.
didn't kill his son.
Yeah, I'm saying as far as the
there
Mooney
never was a son.
Or maybe you're saying, you're saying that Cantwell is an event, a government event.
No, I'm just saying with Mooney, I didn't know him well, but
to disrupt the movement.
I'm just saying I can't vouch for him entirely. All I'm just
Right,
saying is
I'm just trying to figure out
I'm
what
not,
it is
All I'm saying is I'm
about
not
the story
I'm
that
saying
you
I'm
think
not
is made up.
I'm not going to accept the official story. I don't know one way or the other on this. I'm not going to accept the official story that he shot his son in the head or whatever and killed himself. There's only one other eyewitness, and it was the person.
Are
that
we
works
allowed
for
to
the
talk
state.
about this?
Well, we are, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. But I shouldn't have even gone
The
there.
Clockwork Elf shot him in the head, I think. But I didn't, like I said, I didn't know Mooney that well. All I knew was when we did the whole fucking what is it called?
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters. We toasted and shit.
Was he a Free State guy?
Kind of.
He was.
We kicked so many Free Staters out. I mean, it's not like fucking.
He was removed from the rolls.
Yeah.
He allegedly, and it's pretty much accepted as fact that he, killed his son and killed himself.
Yeah, I don't like how they did the business of the whole thing they just did a couple weeks ago. But if you fucking want to do violence, fuck, it's hard. It's a hard answer. Because if you're doing violence in defense of your own life, your family's life, I mean, is it really violence? But if you're going out of your way, if you're fucking setting up
It's
shop, if
still
you're fucking
violence, but it's not aggression.
Yeah, if you're going out there and you're picking a fight. All right, we don't want those people.
Should I hold it or I have to
fucking go?
Just
I'm tired of you ranting.
Go piss and fucking come back and rant some. Just wash your hands, you fucking dirty savage. You fucking yeah, you're Schwartz and all.
Okay, what the fuck did you learn?
Fuck. This is so hard, man. Why do we even have this thing? Why do you?
Because it's fun.
You are a goddamn sadist for sure because you love making us suffer with this goddamn question. I never learn anything. It's like every second is a learning process, and I can't squeeze it into one thing. What do we talk about?
Harry Reid.
Harry Reid is a fucking anarchist hater, and he really doesn't know what anarchist is, but he probably does know what anarchists are.
I don't think he does.
You're quite possibly right. But it's quite also possibly right that he does know what true anarchists are, and he is trying to run us through the mud, intentionally trying to ruin our name. But I don't know. I don't think that's something that I learned tonight. I think it's something I've always known. We're talking about people killing deers, which I might have killed. I might have come to that same decision, except I wouldn't have fucking done anything else except bag that motherfucker up and brought him back and freezered him. Cut him up.
I don't think the little Frenchy Canadian cop is eating the deer that he killed?
I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you what, it really saddens my heart when I see a dead, bloated deer on the highway, especially a big one. Oh man, it really breaks my heart. I mean, that is something I'm always looking forward to, is a fucking roadkill.
What are you guys talking about?
We're talking about boot.
A Canadian deer?
Thanks.
So, did you ever answer the question of what you learned tonight?
I learned that I don't like individuals who leave roadkill on the road and don't call their buddies up.
Okay.
If any of you ever fucking kill a deer and you don't want to deal with it, you call my ass up. If any of you are watching this program, you've got the credentials here, blacksheeprising.org. You got the Facebook, Black Sheep, Facebook
Facebook.com/.
Leave me a message if you're here in the area, man.
BlackSheepRising.org.
Dude, I just fucking killed a deer. I don't know what to do with it. It's just laying here. I will come out there in 30 minutes and I will cut that bastard up and put it in my freezer. If you live out of state, let your buddies know that you fucking killed them. Someone out there will fucking take care of some roadkill.
You know what I learned tonight? I learned that this crazy bastard uses the words never and always, but he doesn't actually mean never or always.
No, I'm definitely not an absolutist. I'm
means
very
generally.
Yes, that's what I meant.
But he doesn't say generally.
Yeah, you're right.
He says never and always. And also,
You never and always say that. I never always say never always. You're an absolutist when you say that. Because I don't always say never always.
No, you say it like that, never always?
I don't know. He just said I always say never always, but I don't always. I just sometimes.
I said he likes to say never and always.
Wait, no. Could someone use this in a sentence, never always?
Yeah. You see? I don't always, because I'm a non-absolutist. So if I do say never and always, then I'm being contrary to what my belief is.
Always.
Well, no, that makes sense. You're just reinforcing never with always. You're double enforcing it.
I'm just being overdramatic when I say it.
You know, it's like saying never times 2.
Yeah, I'm just being overdramatic for effect. Is all it is when I say never and always.
I think it's creative. I think it's very artsy.
Yes, it's artsy. That's what it is.
Not artsy.
It's artsy. I'm like Picasso
and
over
this
here.
Guy also.
I'm Picasso like a motherfucker.
This guy also thinks that Mooney did not exist.
No, I didn't say that. I know Mooney. I don't have an opinion
maybe
about
he was a state agent.
I just don't have I don't have an opinion about his outcome because I'm afraid because I'm not afraid is a strong word because I'm definitely an internally optimistic human being, but I don't like the fact that somebody like say my friends could so easily overlook a fiction of the state, like if they created something about me.
The way I look at it is, we have a principle that we all follow, and that's the non-aggression principle.
Yes.
And if one day one of us cracked out of our minds and decided to do force against another human being, doing it to ourselves is one thing, but to do it to another human being, that just crossed. It didn't fucking cross the fence. It fucking crossed the boundary that should not even exist because that is such a huge element of what we believe in. That's the principle that's a pillar of principle that we live our lives on. We do not do force against others unless we have been forced upon.
Sure.
Which is the whole Cantwell argument.
Yeah.
But generally, I don't want to do force against the police officer who gives me a ticket. I would rather find another outlet.
The Cantwell argument, I made a nice rant a couple of weeks ago on my radio show about that. And I said, is one morally justified in using force to retrieve stolen property? When put like that, in an absolute, are you morally justified in using force
are there no other,
to retrieve stolen property?
Are there no other alternatives? There's only one, to go get it yourself.
Just, are you morally justified in using force to retrieve stolen property? Yes or no? If somebody steals your car, are you morally justified in using force to retrieve your car?
Are there other alternatives that are more efficient and safer.
That's not the question.
Okay. Yes, you are morally. Yes, you are.
Okay. So to say that using force or lethal force is appropriate in every situation of stolen property is akin to saying that the death penalty is the only penalty for any crime.
That's what I mean. Are there alternatives? Are there
you
alternatives?
were 12 seconds late to your parking meter. We must kill you now. That's the same thing.
But I mean, if it's your vehicle that they stole, I mean, how are you supposed to, in a utopian, voluntarist society, how are you supposed to handle it? Are you supposed to call up Dog the Bounty Hunter to go get your car for you? If you know that the fucking car is right down the street, if you know who fucking took it, are you supposed to get your hood together, fucking get you two together and come with me, all loaded up, and to fucking hold this guy, hold him down, and fucking take my vehicle back? And what if he fucking dented my car while he had it? I mean, there's all kinds of fucking little things like that you have to look at.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is why insurance companies come into play.
Yes.
Insurance companies who actually hire out Dog the Bounty Hunter to go do this business for you.
In theory.
I think that
in theory, insurance companies do that. In actuality, somebody steals your vehicle that you still owe money on. The insurance company still takes off your deductible from whatever they wind up paying you in a settlement, and you still wind up owing on a vehicle that was stolen from you.
Exactly, and that's why I mean you might actually have to deal with an outside insurance company. So you might have an insurance company who actually backs your payments, and then you might actually have to have a Leo insurance company who actually deals with the protection of your vehicle. So there might be multiple insurance companies, and everything will be insured, so insurance will be way down, and you won't be paying taxes on anything, so you'll have all that money to save up on insurance.
Well, here's the question that everybody wants to know.
What did I learn tonight?
Would you insure your paper clips?
No. Would I insure my firearms? Maybe. Would I insure my house?
Paper clips.
Yes. Would I insure my vehicle? Yes.
Paper clips. Would you insure your paper clips?
It's all about what the insurance costs. Like, for example, I don't have health insurance because I can't afford it. Because I can't afford it. Because it's almost cheaper. It's fucking cheaper for me to take that money that could be putting into health insurance and to put into a general fund. And to have that money sitting until I'm 60 or 70 or whatever and have that money available. It's not affordable for me to be paying anybody else insurance. It doesn't work. It's the same reason. My parents have stopped paying health insurance. I think my dad had my health insurance with the company that he works with, but it's not affordable. It doesn't even make sense. It'd be better to take that money and put it in a fund, a general fund, and save it for a rainy day.
Okay, so did you ever tell me what you learned tonight?
Insurance makes no sense.
Every second of the day, I learn a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I'm fucking, fucking Miley Cyrus looking at a fucking sledgehammer man is fucking hotter and shit. And she's probably only like 19 or something.
She's
was
20.
Fucking, is she? Okay, that's better.
She turns 21 in December.
That's a little bit better. I learned that regardless of all the toplessness and nudity that Miley Cyrus can throw my direction and all the sledgehammers and the goddamn wrecking balls that she can ride.
You're still never going to be able to bang her.
With all that aside, she is still a fucking despicably nasty, horrible, wretched person in my mind's eye, and that I can never stick my dick in her ever.
Why
because of that.
Why is she so wretched?
I'd stick mine in her twice.
Well, why is she so wretched? I don't get it.
Because of the handlers who were fucking developing her and turning her into the goddess,
part of the music industry,
media goddess that she is. She's just become this wretched human being. She's not even a human being in my mind's eye. She's a fucking, she's a time capsule. She's a fucking billboard of just nonsense. I don't want to have anything to do with.
But
she's
she's
not
just
going to
part
play
of
it,
the
are you?
nonsense that's already out there.
You know, that's a good segue to the end of the show.
The nonsense is already there.
To add on, I'm just kidding. When you
No
were saying
no more
oh, no.
adding on, no more.
No, we
adding,
went to add on to that, but when you're talking about insurance,
no more
and it's my
adding
big pet
things.
peeve, like about even like the Liberty community, whatnot,
No more
is
adding
that
things. Why are you still talking?
people have this notion.
Stop, you do this.
People have this.
He's got stuff.
People have this notion in the Liberty community that somehow, like, you know, if it was up for the free market, that these things like insurance companies would still exist. Actually, they would even be more so. My theory, anyways, is it would be even less so, actually, because the more an industry can thrive, and the more industry can thrive, there's less need for insurance companies because, you know, it drives the cost down. The only reason why you need insurance companies is government has driven as they've taken over various industries, they've driven the cost up so astronomically high, no human being could ever afford it if shit ever hit the fan. But in a free society, even if the shit hit the fan, it would never get as bad. Like, to where if the shit hit the fan now, it would cost us $200,000. In a free society, if the shit hit the fan, it would cost us $2,000. Insurance is a bad investment. It's mathematically incorrect no matter how you look at it, whether it's
a bad in the state of society.
Sure, the reason why insurance exists is because it's mathematically correct for them. And the only reason why you would do that is because in the event that it's worth it for you to make a bad mathematical investment under the notion, okay, I'll pay, you know, put a little out there just in case if the shit hits the fan, I don't want to be completely done in.
If it's not affordable,
So I'll make a bad mathematical decision and pay for insurance. And that's all insurance is. And the only reason why it exists is because of government. This is my biggest beef with Cantwell, because he thinks in a free market, you know, like, oh, roads will have insurance, and oh, there'll be roads that will say, oh, you can't drink and drive on this road and whatnot. Bullshit. Insurance goes out the fucking window in a free market. It barely exists.
Well, no, if insurance is not affordable, it will be the first
There
to
won't
go.
be any need for it because
it will be the first to go out the window.
Yeah, there's really no need for it. It's always a bad mathematical decision, but the cost of goods will be driven down so low. The only reason why things have gotten to the point where you even need insurance is government stepped in. They monopolized medicine going way back. They just monopolized it further with Obamacare and whatnot.
I think when all insurance becomes affordable, because the government stops regulating it and mandating all these laws that make it necessary, I think that it will actually be affordable, and there will be many, many more forms of insurance.
There may be
different types.
minor, but not to this degree, and it'll be much less than what you see in this. There's really no need for it.
You'll have rich Jews stepping forward and fucking creating silicone breast insurance, and that's all they
Lizard
do.
Jew
That's, that's what they specialize in. A fucking nose insurance.
Lizard Jew insurance is what they would want, and everyone would want it.
I mean,
But
exactly.
How much longer do you guys want to take this show? It's already been 2.5 fucking hours.
As long as
way, man.
the Lizard Jews.
Have we fucking reached the max? Have we gone? Let's just stop. Let's just stop and think about this.
We're at 2.5 hours.
Oopsie daisy. Oopsie daisy. Oopsie
No. Don't do it. Don't fucking push it. All right, listen. Hey, you can. We got to play the escape. I love you. Check us out, blacksheeprising.org. All the show notes, all the video, all the audio. We're all here. All the information we just talked about, it's there. YouTube, we're on there too. Facebook, we're on there too. blacksheeprising.org. How do you like that? How do you like how that works? That's fucking great how that works. Fucking Black Sheep Rising is where we're at. If you Google it, you're only going to find one Black Sheep Rising. I like how that works. It's fucking excellent. Fucking drop. Plug. Post.
Drop it, y'all.
FPP.cc.
Huh?
Do you still have a YouTube page?
Huh? Liberty Rapture, but I'm going to change it. I've got a but Liberty Rapture as of now, sure. Hey. Amen.
Excellent. Rapture, fucking great having you on.
Yeah,
you got to come on more often, man.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Great
I
guest,
appreciate
great
it.
panelist. Had a lot of good to say.
Rambles.
He's a guest and a panelist.
Shazam.
Fucking Daryl W. Perry, great having you on. Great panelist, great fucking co-host.
He's so quiet.
Yes,
That's the thing with
I am.
You're
Daryl.
so fucking quiet.
He's just like, he's like a quiet man.
I've
in the
only
room.
turned your volume down like quarter of what we're at. Because you're a loud fuck.
What?
What? So anyways, Daryl, what are we listening to? What are we about to listen to?
This is a modified version of Enter Sandman, where the sound has been reduced by, or not the sound, the speed has been reduced by 25%.
This is Metallica
This song right now that's going on?
No, this is The Great Escape. This is the ending.
We
It's over.
are about to listen
All right.
to Enter Sandman
Yeah.
By Metallica.
by Metallica,
When they were good.
reduced by 25%.
Yep.
Now, I got the idea to do this when I heard a Dolly Parton song that was slowed down
I
by
Will Always Love You
25%.
is the song.
No, it was Jolene, which has been covered numerous times by numerous people, and somebody slowed it down 25%, and it still sounded really good.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let me find a heavy metal song and slow it down and see what it sounds like.
You should have picked some speed metal.
Yeah, the Dolly Parton song.
Metallica sounds even more badass.
You should have picked some early Metallica, some speed metal shit.
I might do that next.
Because that's a lot faster
And then, thanks to you, there's some Bieber that I slowed down by 25%. I don't think I've actually gotten that to you yet.
we might actually have to listen to that on a
I
front.
have discovered that one can listen to Justin Bieber without wanting to kill themselves if they slow Justin Bieber down by 25% and then increase the bass.
Absolutely. And what if they play it backwards, reduce 25%? What happens then?
Well, if you increase the speed.
Hold on. What happens when you play that motherfucker backwards?
If you increase the speed and
So they-
play it backwards, it sounds like fucking dubstep.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I wanted to hear some of them clips. I wanted to see what that sounds like. That might be
Sounds like-
because the whole dubstep movement might be a whole New World Order thing, and they're just injecting us with fucking all the shit they couldn't get into us in the 60s and 70s.
What about the injecting?
MK Ultra stuff is
Does that have anything to do with Alex Jones, or is that
Clockwork Elves, all of it. I shouldn't
No,
even get
that's
into
the
it.
wrong one.
which one's the
It's crazy.
injecting one?
I believe I titled it Injecting.
I don't. Oh no, that's not on this list.
When you
son
slow
of a
Dolly
bitch.
Parton
I'm
down,
sorry,
it actually
dude.
turns
Oh.
into death metal. It's like
They were injecting it.
titties.
What were they doing with it again?
They were motherfucking
Injecting it.
They were injecting it.
Next one. Play the next one.
Total power, total control, everything you could ever want. Just kill everyone.
No, not that one.
They
that
were
one.
jacking DMT 70 years ago.
That's what they were doing.
That's what I mean. I mean, this shit is it's always been around, and you always had these powerful people who are trying to get the motherfucking sheep to do their bidding more efficiently.
That's why we're the black sheep, and that's why we're rising.
Shazam.
And
We'll
now
see you
we're
guys
out.
next week. Love you all. See ya.
He snapped back from reality. Oops, there goes gravity. Oops, he's so mad, but he don't give up that easy.
Like a bite.
The